Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei Summons Heroic Spirits. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Issei gasped in surprise, turning his head to look at the ceiling. He was alone in his bedroom, confused about the dream he had just experienced. Glancing at the alarm clock, he noted the time, 6:30 a.m. It was just a dream, he murmured to himself, shaking his head to clear his thoughts. He needed to snap out of the daydream and focus on his surroundings, which were decorated with superhero wallpapers. He sighed, recalling a striking image from his dream, but quickly pushed those thoughts aside, determined to embrace a more heroic persona. Say, wake up. It's time for school, his mother shouted from the other room. Coming, Mom, he called back, getting out of bed and heading to the bathroom for a quick shower. Once dressed in his school uniform, he made his way downstairs to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Issei found his father reading the newspaper while his mother prepared breakfast. He took a seat at the table, ready to start the day. Son, are you going to stop with the pervert act? His father asked, raising an eyebrow. Yeah, pretty much. I think I'm done with that for now. But I'm still a virgin, Issei replied. Well, you really need to get out more, but just make sure you behave, his father advised. Dad, come on, Issei groaned. What? It's true, right? You still have those urges, his father began, but Issei quickly covered his mouth to silence him. His mother playfully swatted the back of his head. Dear, could you please give the boy a break for a few minutes? It seems like you're trying to embarrass him, she said, using her playful demeanor to lighten the mood. Issei sighed, shaking his head as he glanced at the clock, realizing it was time to head to school. He finished his breakfast, stood up, and prepared to leave. Mom and Dad, I'm off to school, he called out, receiving their well wishes for safety as he stepped out of the Hyoudou residence and began his walk to the academy. Later at Kuoh Academy, Issei found himself lost in thought, reflecting on the mysterious blonde girl from his dream. Who is she? How did she know about him and his future? These questions filled his mind as he made his way to class. Here goes nothing, he said to himself, taking a deep breath before entering the school. As he walked through the halls, he could hear whispers from other students, both boys and girls, talking about him. He caught snippets of conversations, noting that some girls expressed disgust at his friendship with Matsuda and Motohama, who were known for their antics involving attractive women. Just ignore it. I need to keep moving, Issei told himself, pushing forward to his classroom. After lunch, he spotted his friends, who were peeking toward the girls' restroom. Hey Issei, wanna join us for a peek? Matsuda asked with a mischievous grin. Nah, I think I'll pass. I need to grab something to eat, Issei replied, shaking his head. Why not? Motohama questioned, clearly disappointed. I just have a feeling it's not the right thing to do, Issei said, choosing to focus on his own path. But I need to take a break by myself, and if you two want to talk, that's fine. I'm heading out. Peace. He said to them, then walked ahead on his own, taking a long stroll to the cafeteria. As he walked, he sensed someone watching him and turned to see a red-haired girl looking down at him. Rias Gremery. Huh? Issei asked in surprise, noticing her leaning against the window of the building. He felt a bit confused as he heard screams from a group of girls nearby, their voices filled with anger. Shaking his head, he decided to continue on his way to the cafeteria alone. Rias watched him walk away, her curiosity piqued. She turned to her friend standing next to her. Akino? Who is that boy? She asked. Oh, him? That's Issei Hyoudou. A great student, but not much of a pervert, Akino replied. Rias hummed thoughtfully. What's wrong, Rias? Akino inquired. Nothing. I'm just thinking about something else right now. But it's a secret, Rias said, and the two of them began a game of chess, challenging each other to see who would come out on top. They were also plotting something significant involving Issei, and Rias had a plan in mind, though something unexpected was on the horizon for the boy. Time skip later. Back to Issei. Issei had just left his academy and was heading home when a young girl with brunette hair, dressed in a different school uniform, approached him. Excuse me, are you Issei Hyoudou? She asked. Depends. Who is asking? He replied. Can I ask you to go out with me? Like a date, she said, and Issei pondered for a moment before responding. Sure. Sunday works for me, he said, and she smiled brightly. He walked away, unaware of what was about to unfold. To be continued. Next morning later, Issei stood outside Kuoh town, waiting for Yuuma to arrive. He was dressed in casual clothes, glancing at his watch to check the time for their date. She should be here by now, he muttered to himself, continuing to wait until she finally appeared. Sorry, Issei-kun. I came late, she exclaimed, and he turned to see her in her casual attire, giving him a warm smile. It's fine, Yuuma. Besides, there's no need to waste time. Shall we get going? He asked. Sure, Issei, she replied. The two of them began their date, enjoying each other's company and having a lot of fun. Issei felt happy at the thought of Yuuma being his girlfriend. They eventually arrived at the park and stood quietly for a moment before Yuuma turned to him. Issei, can I ask you a favor? She inquired. Sure, what is it? He asked. Would you die for me? She asked, catching him off guard. Sensing something was off, Issei took a step back, looking at her as she transformed into a more sinister figure, revealing her true nature as a fallen angel. Yuuma? What's going on? He stammered. Chuckle, foolish human. It seems you have a sense of danger, she said. I don't understand. What does this mean? He asked, confusion etched on his face. Sorry, Issei-kun. I have to kill you because it's my order, she said, summoning a spear that glimmered ominously. Issei's eyes widened in shock as she hurled the weapon at him. He instinctively dodged, narrowly avoiding the attack. I don't want to die. I need to be brave. I refuse to die, he thought, feeling a surge of determination as he noticed a command seal glowing on his wrist. Judge, stop moving. Let me kill you, she shouted, throwing another spear at him. Just then, a powerful aura blocked the attack, signaling that someone else had arrived. What? Huh? Issei and Rainier exclaimed in unison. Issei Hyoudou found himself in a strange dreamlike state. Hada, where am I? He wondered aloud. As he looked around, he noticed the lush landscape filled with grass, water, and trees. Slowly rising from the ground, he shook his head in confusion. His gaze fell upon a figure sitting nearby, and curiosity compelled him to approach. As he drew closer, he saw a girl with blonde hair clad in knightly armor, resting against a tree. She appeared peaceful, lost in slumber. Hada, who is she? Why is she sleeping here? Issei mused, captivated by her beauty. He quickly chastised himself, thinking, Now. Issei, don't be a pervert. Just as he was about to wake her, an armored hand unexpectedly grasped his wrist, startling him. Atlas, I've been waiting for you to come, Master, she said softly. Master? I don't understand that. How did you? Issei stammered, trying to comprehend the situation. We see that you are well, Master. But the truth is that we are from the future, and your past has been quite troublesome, she explained. You know about me? Who are you? He asked, bewildered. I am Artoria Pendragon. I am your servant. Now it is time for you to awaken, Master, she said, her voice firm yet gentle. As she spoke, a brilliant light enveloped them, blinding Issei and filling him with a sense of urgency. In reality, then someone else arrived, a figure standing confidently in blue armor, wielding an invisible sword. The young girl had blonde hair tied in a bun at the back of her head and a strikingly beautiful face, standing at a height of 4 feet 8 inches. She exuded strength and resilience, a true warrior. Issei was taken by surprise at her sudden appearance. He asked, confusion evident on his face. Impossible. Who are you? Rainier stammered, trying to comprehend the situation as the figure opened her mouth to speak. I ask of you, are you my master? She inquired, turning her gaze toward Issei, who was still in shock. Artoria Pendragon, also known as Saber. Am master? What? I don't understand. Issei muttered to himself, glancing down at his right hand where he noticed a command seal. Memories flooded back of the old man who had told him about the Holy Grail War and the significance of the cards. It seems the contract is sealed, Master. I am your saber and your sword. I'll fight for your side, Artoria declared, reminding him of the concept of servants that the old man had explained. Saber? Why, you're a servant, he said, still trying to process everything. That is correct, she confirmed. Enough of this. I don't know who you are. But you are going to pay. Rainier shouted, summoning spears and hurling them toward the night girl. Artoria swiftly slashed through the incoming attacks with her sword. What? Rainier exclaimed, astonished that this girl could block her weapons so effortlessly. I don't know who or what you are, but you dare to threaten my master? I won't forgive you. Artoria charged at Rainier, who snapped out of her surprise and conjured more spears to throw. Yet, Artoria was incredibly fast, blocking each attack with precision. Impossible. How can she withstand my spears? No human can move like this. Rainier thought, narrowly dodging Artoria's strikes. The night girl leaped into the air, aiming to gain the upper hand. Sheet! Arg! Rainier cried out as Artoria managed to cut her, causing her to stumble back. In a swift motion, Artoria slammed her foot down, creating a shockwave that pinned Rainier to the ground. Issei watched in disbelief as Artoria fought fiercely against Rainier. Rainier began, but before she could finish, Artoria delivered a precise strike, severing her wings with ease, prompting a scream of agony. Be silent, creature. Who ordered you to harm my master? Artoria demanded. I won't tell you anything. Rainier retorted defiantly. In response, Artoria pressed her sword against Rainier's back, eliciting another scream. I ask you again. Who gave you the order? Artoria pressed, her tone serious. Just as Rainier was about to respond, Issei shouted. Watch out, he warned, causing Artoria to turn just in time to see an incoming spear. She swiftly slashed at it, performing a backflip to evade another attack from a new fallen angel who had just arrived. Rainier, what took you so long to deal with the human? He demanded. I don't know. I was trying to kill him when this girl showed up. Rainier exclaimed. Fine. I'll handle it. Donasik shouted, and more fallen angels appeared, spears in hand, ready to attack Issei and Artoria. Issei slowly got to his feet, and Saber positioned herself protectively in front of him. You two are outmatched. Any last words before we finish you? Donasik taunted. Suddenly, a voice interrupted. Who said alone? A sword flew through the air, striking the fallen angels, and Issei turned in surprise to see 12 figures emerging. To be continued. Donasik, you two are outmatched. Any last words before we finish you off? He taunted, but suddenly, a voice interrupted. Who said alone? The words echoed as a sword flew toward the fallen angels, striking them down. Issei turned in surprise to see 12 figures appearing before him. Siyu Chulin, Amiya, Lancelot Berserker, Miyamoto Musashi, Jolter, Medusa, Asterios. These 7 servants stood ready for battle, and Issei watched as they charged toward the fallen angels. Donasik shook his head, ordering his men to attack immediately. The fallen angels launched their spears at the servants, but the servants skillfully blocked the attacks. Amiya summoned his bow and arrows, shooting at the fallen angels in the sky, taking them down one by one. Siyu Chulain, as Lancer, wielded his spear with ferocity, dispatching the fallen angels effortlessly. Siyu, Chuckles, come and get some, he shouted confidently, charging forward. He slashed and stabbed at the fallen angels, targeting them with precision. Lancelot leaped from the ground, bringing his sword down to cleave through the enemies. Another berserker grabbed a fallen angel and slammed him to the ground before tossing him into the trees. The berserker swung his axe, cutting through the fallen angels as they attempted to strike back. But Asterios stood firm, refusing to go down easily. Asterios Lancelot, They both roared, unleashing their fury on the fallen angels. Musashi, with her samurai sword, cut through the enemies with grace and Jalter wielded her flag, smashing the fallen angels and unleashing her powers, summoning hellfire that engulfed them, causing them to scream in terror. The witch unleashed her flames, burning the fallen angels, who writhed in agony. Medusa appeared, delivering swift kicks and using her knife to dispatch the remaining foes. Issei Hyoudou, he gasped, astonished by the sight of the servants overpowering the fallen angels. Artoria defended her master, relieved to see the reinforcements. Danasik, impossible! They're wiping out my army. How can these humans be so strong? Who are they? He thought, shaking his head in disbelief as he noticed Issei's sacred gear. Danasik flew toward Issei, spear in hand, ready to strike. Danasik, die! He shouted, but suddenly arrows shot toward him, causing him to crash to the ground in pain. Rainer, Danasik, she cried out in horror. Mori Nagiyoshi, Chiron, Kuoh, Jean, Glanta, Karna. The remaining fallen angels attempted to support Danasik, but Mori and Kyoheim swiftly took them down. Karna summoned a portal, unleashing energy that obliterated the fallen angels. The others joined in, ensuring the remaining enemies were defeated. Danasik, desperate, summoned more weapons, trying to throw a spear at Issei, but Artoria dashed toward him. Danasik attempted to strike her down, but her Excalibur met his spear, cutting through with ease and causing him to stagger back, blood spilling from his mouth. Danasik, I am impossible. Who are you? He stammered, collapsing to the ground, defeated. Rainer, Danasik no, she whispered in horror, witnessing her comrade's downfall. She looked around at the fallen angels, realizing they were all defeated. Panic surged through her as she tried to escape before the servants turned their attention to her. Rainer, how did he summon these warriors? They defeated my army. Who are they? She thought, but before she could flee, 2 arrows struck her kneecaps, causing her to gasp in pain and fall. Jalter appeared, moving her spear down at Rainer's arm, making her scream. Jalter, hold still. Where do you think you're going? She demanded, twisting the spear as Rainer writhed in agony. Issei and the other servants approached. Issei, okay, Yuuma or Rainer, is it? Time to talk. Who sent you to kill me? He asked firmly. Rainer, I can't tell you anything. He'll kill me, she pleaded. Issei, you have 2 choices, live or die. The servants can end your miserable life easily. What choice will it be? He asked her. Rainer replied, okay, I'll tell you everything, but please don't let them kill me. He sighed and urged her to hurry up. She began explaining to Issei and the other servants about fallen angels and their leader, Kokabil. Rainer continued, we eliminate humans who possess sacred gears. They must be eradicated. Issei sighed, looking at Rainer, and said, Rainer, you tried to deceive me about the date and nearly killed me. But this time, I won't let you live. Please, end her. He turned to Jalter, who smiled widely. Issei and the other servants stepped back, allowing Jalter to confront the fallen angel. Please, have mercy. Rainer pleaded. Sorry, I'm all out of mercy, Jalter replied with a wicked smile as she unleashed her hellfire upon Rainer. That's what you get for trying to kill my master, Jalter said, and then a small figure caught Issei's attention. It was a white cat, perched on a nearby tree, watching in shock. To be continued. Back to Kaneko. Rainer had just finished explaining, we eliminate humans who possess sacred gears. They must be eradicated. Issei sighed, looking at her. Rainer, you tried to trick me about the date and nearly killed me. But this time, I won't let you live. Please, end her. He turned to Jalter, who smiled widely. Issei and the other servants stepped back, letting Jalter confront the fallen angel. Please, have mercy. Rainer cried. Sorry, I'm all out of mercy, Jalter said with a sinister grin as she unleashed her hellfire upon Rainer. That's what you get for trying to kill my master, Jalter remarked. Meanwhile, Kaneko, the white cat, was watching from a tree, her jaw dropping in surprise. She was astonished by the scene unfolding before her servants appearing out of nowhere and dispatching fallen angels with ease. Kaneko watched as Rainer and Danasik were overwhelmed by Jalter and Artoria, who showed no mercy. Kaneko thought, What's going on here? I thought Issei-senpai was going to die at the hands of a fallen angel. But he's being saved by these strangers. Who are they? Where did they come from? Is this the sacred gear he possesses? She realized she needed to escape before they noticed her. However, Jalter's gaze landed on her in the tree. Kaneko panicked. Oh no! She jumped from the tree and took off, knowing she had to leave before she became a target. Meanwhile, Issei, with the other servants, contemplated the cards the old man had given him. They felt real, an actual gift for his birthday, and he couldn't believe it. So, it wasn't a dream. I saw you all in my dreams, he said, and they nodded in response. Jalter hugged him tightly. Thank goodness we arrived. We thought you were gone, she said. Huh? He asked, surprised. Siyu added, we're glad you summoned us, kid. Jean sighed. Master, you need to be more careful. You almost got yourself killed back there. Issei nodded, and just then, they heard police sirens approaching. Shoot. The police are coming, he exclaimed. Master, I think we should leave before anyone else arrives, Amiya advised. Issei nodded, but before he could run, Artoria scooped him up in a bridal carry, and they all hurried away before the police arrived. Time skip later. Back to Rias. Rias sat alone in a chair, sipping tea. She hadn't felt Issei summon her, leaving her puzzled. Narrowing her eyes, she tried to piece together what had happened. Suddenly, Kaneko burst in, catching the attention of Akino and Kiba. Bucho, there's trouble, she exclaimed. What is it, Kaneko? Can't you see I'm busy? Rias replied. No. Issei-senpai is alive and he's safe. Kaneko declared, shocking everyone present. What? Are you saying Issei is alive and didn't summon me? Rias asked, her eyes wide. Yes. Kaneko confirmed, and Rias was taken aback even more. She demanded to know what had happened, and Kaneko began explaining everything. Rias listened intently as Kaneko recounted how Issei had awakened his sacred gear and summoned powerful warriors who had defeated the fallen angels. They killed every single fallen angel? Rias asked incredulously. Yes, Bucho, Kaneko replied. They are not normal and nothing like I've seen before, she said to her. Rias, She hummed thoughtfully. Kaneko, what are you going to do with Issei-senpai? She asked. Rias, I'll talk to him tomorrow, she replied, leaving the others surprised by her words. They were both unaware of Rias's intentions to speak with Issei and ally with the young human and his sacred gear, which held the power of servants. They had no idea how formidable Issei's allies could be, but they would soon find out, as they were unaware of the challenges ahead. Time skip later. Back to Issei. Issei was finally heading home with the servants. Once in his bedroom, he examined the cards he had received. He looked closely at them, memories flooding back of Zelrich, the old man who had given them to him when he was a child. Whoa, the cards are real. They are real, he said to himself. Artoria, you know the truth now, master, she said to him. Issei, I can hardly believe this. These servants and their powers are definitely real. But there's no Holy Grail war here, he replied. Amiya, no Holy Grail, but there are some dangerous supernatural creatures in this world, he said, causing the servants to murmur among themselves. Jean, I don't understand why these fallen angels are interested in the sacred gears and why they want to eliminate humans, she said. Jalter, whoever is behind this. I will make sure they pay, she muttered to herself. See you. So, kid, what are you going to do? He asked Issei. Issei, I don't know. But tomorrow I need to think. I need to learn about these fallen angels and their sacred gears. I need to confront them for what they've done. I let my guard down and was tricked, but this time, I'm serious, he declared, making the servants chuckle lightly. The young man sighed, feeling exhausted and shaken by the events he had faced. He turned to the others and asked for their names, which they provided honestly. He was surprised to learn that these servants were historical heroes, warriors from long ago, and he expressed his desire to train with them to become stronger and faster. Issei, I see. I'm glad to have summoned you both. But I need to think about tomorrow and the fallen angels. I need to get some sleep now. I'm tired, he said, and they nodded, returning to their spirit forms, allowing him to rest. In flashback, at 7 years old, Issei, a young boy, stood in front of the library, gazing at the books lining the shelves. He looked around, taking in the vast collection, eager to find something to read. His parents had brought him there, and he was determined to explore the stories within. Suddenly, he encountered an elderly man in the library. Zelrich, hey there, dear boy, he said. Issei, hello, sir. Where did you come from? He asked, curious. The old man chuckled and explained that he was a new visitor. He showed Issei a book filled with tales, and the young boy began to read about heroes, trying to understand their stories. The old man then revealed a set of cards, explaining their significance, servants. End of flashback. Issei, this is going to be crazy, he thought to himself. To be continued. Next morning later, Issei woke up to the sound of his alarm clock ringing, startled by the noise. He opened his eyes slowly, feeling a headache from the previous night and recalling the vivid dreams he had experienced. He had dreamt of the heroes from history, their memories flooding his mind. So, last night was real, and the dreams I saw were the memories of those heroes. He turned to check the time and saw it was 6:27 a.m. He sighed. Issei, well, I guess it's time to wake up, he said to himself. He tried to get out of bed, but as he raised his hand, he felt something soft beside him. He touched it again, and a soft came from the figure next to him. He looked down and pulled back the blanket to reveal a servant. Issei, what in the Tamamo? He exclaimed in surprise, staring at the fox lady who was sleeping beside him. She stirred awake and looked at Issei, who was already up. Tamamo, morning master, she greeted him. Issei, Tamamo? What are you doing in my bed? Why are you wearing that? He started to ask, but before he could finish, the fox lady pulled him into a warm embrace, surprising him. She smiled widely, her affection for her master evident. Tamamo, because I want to warm you up, master, she said, causing him to blush slightly. Suddenly, the door burst open, revealing someone else. Both Tamamo and Issei sensed a dangerous aura approaching, and they turned to see Kyoheim, her eyes closed and a Yandere smile on her face. Kyoheim, darling, she growled. Issei thought to himself, oh no, I'm in trouble. Tamamo, sorry, Kyoheim, but master is with me now, she replied confidently. Kyoheim, well, I'm more than happy to take care of you both right here, she said, her demeanor shifting as she released a menacing aura. Just then, Issei's mother called out from outside. Mom, Issei, wake up. It's time for school. Your wives are going to cook breakfast. Her voice broke the tension, and Issei took a moment to collect himself. He reassured her that everything was fine and turned to his two servants, asking them to calm down. He leaned in to give Kyoheim a quick kiss on the lips, then did the same for Tamamo. The two servants relaxed, watching him with admiration. Issei got out of bed, and just then he heard a small, sweet voice. Mommy, is everything all right? A little girl asked. Jack the Ripper. Issei, it's fine, Jackie. No need to worry. What are you doing here? He asked as the little girl ran up to him and hugged his waist. Jack, we were waiting for you to wake up. It feels warm when you're with us, she said, making him smile as he patted her head. Issei, I'm glad to hear that. Why don't you come down to the kitchen? I need to take a bath, and I'll meet you both there, he suggested, and the little girl beamed with joy, her innocent demeanor hiding a fierce spirit. After a long shower, Issei dressed in his school uniform and headed down to the kitchen for breakfast with his servants. Later at the academy. After finishing breakfast, Issei walked toward Kuoh Academy, noticing its vastness. He sensed the presence of powerful devils nearby. He wasn't alone. His servants were with him in their spirit forms. Artoria, Master, can you sense that? Issei, yes, I can definitely feel it, he replied. Gilgamesh, it seems we aren't alone in this world. But whoever they are, they need to be dealt with. Amiya, we should prepare for whatever is coming. We don't know how many are ahead. Issei nodded, moving forward as Kaneko, in her cat form, watched him with surprise, noting that he seemed like a normal human. She decided to report back to Rias immediately. Once in the classroom, Issei tried to focus on his studies, but soon he heard a group of girls fangirling over someone. He turned to see a handsome blonde-haired boy approaching Issei Hyoudou. Issei thought, not this guy again. Why is it always him? Mordred, do you know this pretty devil boy? Say, yeah, the prince. It annoys me, but he's not interested in girls. His servants chuckled at his thoughts. Amiya, be careful, master. There's something about this devil. Issei acknowledged the warning and turned to Kiba, who asked, Issei Hyoudou? Issei replied, yeah, what do you need? Kiba, Bucho wants to see you, he said. Issei, really? What's this meeting about? He asked, curious. Kiba insisted it was important, and Issei felt he needed to know more. He agreed to follow Kiba to the meeting, mentally preparing himself as his servants advised him to stay cautious and be ready for anything. Issei thought, so that's where the meeting is? Uriya, be careful, master. We don't know who he or she is, but we need to know why she called you here. She thought to him as Issei walked ahead, arriving just in time to see three familiar faces, Akino, Kaneko, and Kiba. Issei, along with the others, heard the sound of running water from the shower, which confused and surprised him. See, the dog whistled softly, thinking to himself, who left the shower running outside? Scathatch's voice interrupted his thoughts. Don't even think about peeking in there, see you, she warned, causing the dog to whimper slightly. Just then, Rias emerged from the shower, dressed in her school uniform, looking radiant. I'm glad you're here, Issei, she said with a smile. So, what's the occasion? Why did you bring me here? He asked. Rias's expression turned serious. This is important. Do you remember Yuuma, the girl you went out with yesterday? Issei was taken aback. You know her too? She nodded and explained how he had survived an encounter with a fallen angel who had intended to harm him. Issei felt the weight of the truth pressing down on him, and he wanted to know more. Rias, what exactly do you need to tell me? He pressed. Rias began to explain the supernatural elements of their world, and Issei listened intently, eager to understand. Now it's your turn to explain what happened back there. How did you, she started, but suddenly, a sword tip pressed against her neck, startling her. Artoria stood there, her gaze intense. Now answer me, what do you intend to do with my master? Rias was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the knight. The other members of the group were equally surprised, and they began to approach Artoria. But then Medusa emerged, raising her knife and aiming it at Akino's throat, while Jack appeared behind Kaneko, mimicking the threatening stance. Ame, Scathatch, Mordred, and the other servants were present but remained still, watching the tense standoff. Kiba's eyes widened as he recognized the sword. That sword. Excalibur, he thought, a low growl escaping him as he prepared to draw his weapon. Mordred quickly aimed her sword at Kiba's head. Don't even think about it, pretty boy. Stand down, or you'll see this girl right here in danger, she warned, forcing Kiba to restrain himself, not wanting to put anyone at risk. Issei's expression turned serious. Tell me everything about the clans and the devils, he demanded. Mordred swallowed hard but began to explain the intricacies of the devil clans. Issei needed to understand the supernatural world and the threats it posed. So you were waiting for me to be killed by the fallen angel Rainer. And then what happened next? What were you trying to do, bring me back to life? He asked, and she nodded, explaining the concept of evil pieces that could transform him into a devil. To be continued. When she explained the situation, Rias sensed the dangerous aura emanating from Issei and his servants. They were both radiating an intent that made her feel threatened, as if they were ready to eliminate her and everyone else. Kaneko had informed Rias about Issei's capabilities, which only deepened her fear. Issei asked, why? Rias replied, because that's the law and order for what I need to bring you back. Just then, a voice interrupted them. Mongrel, do you really think you can let the master be harmed by a creature like those outside? The voice belonged to a golden-clad archer, who appeared before them. He wore ornate golden armor, with blonde hair and glowing red eyes. Gilgamesh continued, Give us a reason to believe you don't intend to enslave our master. I will wipe you and these insects from this school. The master is not a toy to be controlled. Explain yourself." As he spoke, portals opened around him, revealing an array of weapons that sent a chill down Rias's spine. Rias stammered. "Wait, don't harm her. We need to understand why she's doing this," Issei interjected, prompting Gilgamesh to relax slightly. Issei and his servants listened intently as Rias began to reveal her secrets, leaving them confused and surprised by the names of historical heroes she mentioned. "Impossible!" Rias exclaimed in disbelief. "What? You know about them?" Issei asked, and she shook her head before explaining the concept of hero fiction and the history of heroes. Issei and his servants were astonished by the information Rias shared about other heroes in their world. "You're telling me to fight someone named Cao Cao?" Nobunaga asked. "Yep, while I save Kunu's mother," Issei confirmed. "Okay, you owe me a date after this," Nobunaga replied. "Don't worry, I'll make it up to you," Issei said, giving her a reassuring smile. He then turned to the red-headed woman, preparing to discuss his next steps. Rias, eager to understand his motivations, asked, "Wait, why are you fighting for humanity? Don't you have any honor?" "Because I fight for mankind. I deserve to be a hero. A true hero protects the innocent, and I won't let them fall to these fallen angels. The reason I don't trust you, Rias-senpai, or any devils here, is that I don't care about good or evil. I will fight you all if necessary," Issei declared, leaving Rias shocked by his resolve. "But I will help you an ally. With you as well," he added, softening her initial fear. She began to see him as a good man before he took his leave, leaving Rias and the other devils in stunned silence, contemplating the danger Issei and his allies posed. "Kiba, are you all right?" Rias asked. "I'm fine, Kiba," she reassured him. Akino remarked, "These servants, with their heroic histories, exude a menacing aura stronger than I imagined." Rias recalled what Kaneko had told her about Issei's terrifying allies, who could easily dispatch fallen angels. How strong are his allies? Rias pondered. Later, back with Issei and his servants in their home, they sat on the bed discussing the supernatural world and the heroes like themselves. Issei sought information about the various supernatural beings and the threats they faced, including strays and fallen angels. Morgan Le Fay chimed in, "Interesting. You're telling me my sister has 2 grandchildren in this world, and one of them has taken my name and studied magic. That's about it. Rias informed you of everything, right?" Issei asked, and she nodded. "Yep. Very interesting," she mused. Mordred exclaimed, Wait. Rias told me my father has 2 grandchildren here?" "Yup, that's correct," Issei confirmed. "What does that make me then?" Mordred inquired. "I'm not sure, but didn't you hear what Rias said? Cao Cao has gathered heroes from the past, and they are now a threat to this world," Issei explained, prompting Jean to ask in disbelief. "You're telling me there's a Jean in this world, and she has joined a terrorist group called the Hero Faction?" Jean questioned. "That's the gist of it," Issei replied, noting her frustration. Artoria added, "So you're saying I have 2 grandchildren in this world, and my sword is broken into pieces?" "Yes, that's about it. I've been reading history books and trying to solve the mystery of Excalibur, but it seems the sword is lost, and you are the only one left with it," Issei said, sparking interest among the others. Okita asked, "So there's another me in this world?" "Yes. We'll discuss this more tomorrow because Rias wants to test me with some challenges to take her rooks. And another night, we shall hunt down these fallen angels and cultists," he said, bringing smiles to their faces. Issei thought to himself, "It's time to make humanity safe again." To be continued. Chapter End. 3rd POV. Somewhere else. A fierce battle raged not far away, and a massive form loomed in the distance. It was a dragon, a creature of immense size, revealing itself to the servants who were engaged in combat with the beast within Issei. The sacred gear that resided within him granted him strength and speed, awakening the hero within. The giant beast stood at an impressive 39 feet tall, its red scales glistening ominously. With wings unfurled and horns protruding from its head, It was unmistakably a dragon, a red dragon. Draig! Draig let out a thunderous roar that echoed toward the servants below. They took their fighting stances, steeling themselves for the confrontation with this formidable creature. 8 servants stood their ground, ready to face the dragon head-on. Siegfried, Sigurd, Skandar, Sagata, Jean. Among them, Siegfried raised his sword, preparing to unleash his noble phantasm. He aimed to deliver a powerful finishing blow to the dragon, determined to end the threat it posed. Then Sakata unleashed a powerful noble phantasm toward the enemy, causing the dragon to let out a roar of pain as it stepped back from the blast, a hint of injury evident on its scales. Draig shouted in frustration, "Damn it! I can't even stop the attack. Boost!" His anger was palpable as he stood alone, glaring at the servants. The humans are outmatched. They work together and they are clever. Who are they? Why are they here? His voice carried a mix of anger and confusion, wanting to understand how the servants had entered the dreamscape. The other servants were taken aback, surprised to hear the dragon speak in its deep, resonant voice. Sataki exclaimed, "What?" Sigurd added, "Did it just talk?" Siegfried noted, "It can communicate with boost. This must be the master's sacred gear." Gawain asked, "The creature can talk?" Lancelot remarked, "I thought dragons were mindless beasts." Jean stated, "I don't know how the beast can speak, but we need to take it down ourselves and find a way to tame it." The servants nodded in agreement, and the dragon let out another roar, charging toward them as the servants prepared to face it head-on. A week later, Issei ventured out into Kuoh town alone, taking a long walk to clear his mind. He had been training extensively, learning sword fighting and developing his own unique fighting style, much like the servants who had trained him. Issei had become stronger and faster, feeling nearly unstoppable. As he walked, he was not alone. Artoria stood beside him, dedicating her time to training him to become a formidable warrior. Issei couldn't help but blush slightly as he admired Artoria in her regular outfit, appreciating her kindness and support. "So, what do you think of the town?" he asked her. "It's nice. I really like this peaceful place," she replied. "Well, that's good to hear," he said, feeling his cheeks warm as he took in her beauty. He remembered their conversations from when he was 8 years old, and the two of them enjoyed a day out together, a master and his servant. Meanwhile, other female servants watched with envy, wishing to spend time with their beloved master as well. Issei chuckled, "You sure eat a lot." Artoria explained, "Servants need to consume mana. We must eat well to maintain our strength for battle." "I see." Issei mused, lost in thought. "Master, what's on your mind?" Artoria asked. "I need to find the fallen angels and their hideout. Some humans have sacred gears, and we need to rescue them from the fallen angels," he replied. "That sounds important," she said, and they continued walking until they bumped into a girl. Turning, they saw a nun with blonde hair and green eyes. "Asia Agrento," Issei thought, beautiful. "She reminds me of you, Jean." Jean responded, "Very charming, master. Can you sense something from this girl?" Issei was surprised by the aura and power emanating from the nun, both of them sensing a connection. "Sorry about that, miss. I didn't mean to bump into you," he said. "No, it's my fault. I wasn't paying attention," Asia replied, her beauty captivating him. She asked them about the church, and they decided to head there together. As they walked, Issei and Artoria noticed the power radiating from Asia, especially when she healed a boy who had fallen and injured himself. Her ability, Twilight Healing, was clearly her sacred gear. Arriving at the church, Issei and Artoria sensed a dark presence surrounding the place. The atmosphere felt heavy, and they exchanged worried glances. Amiya thought, "Master, can you feel it?" Iskandar added, "I sense something dark inside." Issei acknowledged, "I can feel it too." Artoria warned, "Master, be prepared. We don't know what awaits us inside. There may be fallen angels lurking there." With that, they approached the church, where they encountered a sinister figure who appeared to be a priest, a dark smile playing on his lips. Once they took Asia to the church, they returned to their own home. Issei said, "Looks like I found the hideout where the fallen angels are." To be continued. Chapter end. Third-person perspective. The next night, Issei set out on his own, hands tucked into the pockets of his jacket. He wandered the streets until he spotted a church ahead. Standing there in his black leather jacket, he felt a dark aura emanating from the building. "This must be it," he muttered to himself. As he gazed at the church, a surge of determination filled him. He glanced at his left arm, where a gauntlet had manifested, realizing it was his sacred gear. "Drake," the voice in his gauntlet, asked, "So, are you ready to go in there, partner?" "Possibly. Now I need to summon my servants," Issei replied, turning his gaze back to the church, mentally preparing himself for what lay ahead. He summoned Artoria, Jalter, Achilles, Tamamo no Mae, Kyoheim, Lancelot Berserker, Mordred, Siu, Amiya, Assassin, and Castor Gillis, who all landed gracefully on the ground. The 9 servants appeared just in time, weapons drawn and ready for action. Issei noticed some cultists lurking nearby, armed and waiting. He summoned Jack, who appeared with a cheerful demeanor. "Jackie, can you do me a favor? Take care of those bad guys down there," he instructed her. She nodded eagerly. "Yes, Mommy," she exclaimed before charging ahead. Issei signaled the other servants to follow her, and they all advanced toward the cultists, anticipating the arrival of the fallen angels from the church. Meanwhile, archers like Chiron, Atlanta, and Amiya took their positions, arrows at the ready to target any fallen angels that might emerge. "Now the real battle begins," Issei said to himself, watching as the cultists faced the onslaught of his servants. In flashback, Issei and Artoria walked back to their home, finally reaching their bedroom where the servants were discussing the supernatural world with Issei's parents. They were in great danger, but they needed to be brave, knowing the servants would protect them. "They're targeting Asia to take her twilight healing," Issei thought. "What are you going to do?" Artoria asked. "I must save her from a terrible fate," he replied, when suddenly a voice resonated from the gauntlet on his arm. "That won't be necessary," Drake said, surprising both Issei and Artoria. "W it in the. What is this?" Issei exclaimed, astonished. "Your sacred gear, master," Artoria explained. Drake continued, "I'm surprised one of your servants noticed me. Anyway, I am Drake, a dragon, and you must be my partner." Issei nodded. "Yep, that's me. What do you want with me? Do you wish to join me?" "Of course. Joining you is the easiest way. However, you can't rescue her tonight. The fallen angels have regrouped with a large army," Drake warned. "So, I have servants to help me take them down," Issei replied, causing the dragon to chuckle lightly. Artoria then asked Drake, "You are his sacred gear?" "That is correct," Drake confirmed, explaining the power he possessed, which would allow Issei to transform and learn how to use it effectively. End of flashback. When the dragon was struck by a powerful attack from Siegfried, who unleashed his noble phantasm, it was fortunate to still be alive. The creature stood there, battered and bruised. It turned its head to look at the other servants, who were surprised to see the dragon still moving. In a sudden burst of anger, the creature swatted at Siegfried, sending him crashing to the ground. Siegfried remarked, "It seems to have survived my noble phantasm," prompting the others to nod in agreement as they turned their attention back to the dragon. The creature let out a fierce roar, unleashing a torrent of flames from its mouth. What in the cicada began to say? "Incoming!" Jean shouted, raising her noble phantasm to protect the other servants with her shield. She saw the dragon growling in fury, and Sakata prepared to unleash his own noble phantasm against the beast. "Screw it. I'm going to take it down," he declared. Meanwhile, the servants were swiftly dispatching cultists and fallen angels, wiping them out with ease. The little assassin, Jack, moved with incredible speed, slashing at the cultists with deadly precision. They tried to cover their necks as they fell, but it was too late. "Fleshes. Now time to die," she shouted, a sinister smile on her face. Other servants joined in, taking down cultists with ferocity. Artoria wielded her sword, cutting through enemies with powerful strikes, sending some flying with her relentless slashes. "You heathens must perish for your crimes against humanity," she cried, seeing the cultists as nothing more than monsters. Lancelot swung his sword, effortlessly cutting down foes, but when cultists attempted to overwhelm him, he retaliated with powerful blows, sending them flying. Gra! He roared in fury, smashing through the enemies with fists and kicks, his sword slicing through them with ease. Mordred, Siu, Achilles, Tamamo, Kyoheim, and other servants continued to eliminate cultists relentlessly. Suddenly, fallen angels emerged from the church, soaring into the sky. "Attack!" one of them shouted. "Kill them all," another commanded as more fallen angels flew in, preparing to rain down spears. Kyoheim unleashed her flame powers, engulfing 3 fallen angels in flames. The other servants leaped into action, taking down the fallen angels from the sky. Mordred, Siu, and Tamamo finished them off, while Tamamo threw enchanted papers at the remaining fallen angels, paralyzing them. She then used her powers to set them ablaze, their cries echoing in the air as they fell. Issei declared, "Now it's time to end this. Atlanta, use your noble phantasm." Atlanta nodded, ready to strike down the remaining. The fallen angels cried out in pain as they were struck down by Atlanta's noble phantasm, which eliminated many of them along with several cultists. The servants continued their relentless assault, dispatching the fallen angels and cultists effortlessly, leaving no one to survive the onslaught. Mordred laughed maniacally, her voice echoing in the chaos. "This night is going to be great," she shouted, unleashing a flurry of punches, kicks, and sword slashes that tore through the enemies with ease. The fallen angels fell before the servants, overwhelmed by their sheer power. To be continued. Back to Issei. As Issei watched the servants effortlessly defeat the fallen angels, he realized they stood no chance against these formidable warriors. Turning his head, he noticed Asia emerging from the church, running away. Concerned, he called out to her. "Asia!" he shouted, but she didn't hear him. "Temmo, come, Thamia, Carmilla, and Mordred, come with me," he commanded, and they nodded in agreement. Suddenly, another servant appeared, a vampire named Carmilla. Together, Issei and the servants rushed forward, determined to reach Asia. Ahead of them stood 2 fallen angels, one a woman and the other a little girl, both wielding holy spears. "You can't pass through here," Calawarner declared, and the fallen angels hurled their spears at them. Mordred swiftly slashed through the incoming projectiles with her Clarent sword, causing them to vanish. Surprised, the fallen angels watched as Mordred smirked and charged at them, her sword ready. They attempted to dodge, but she was relentless, striking with incredible force. The holy spears had little effect on her. She fought back with powerful punches and kicks. Issei exchanged a glance with Kyoheim, giving her a nod. She unleashed her noble phantasm, engulfing the 2 fallen angels in flames. As the fallen angels burned, the other servants turned to see a priest approaching Asia. Issei's heart raced as he rushed to save her, but a gunshot rang out, hitting the priest's sword. The priest hissed in pain and turned to see Emiya, assassin, standing there. "Asia, run!" Issei shouted. Freed, the fake priest, roared in anger. "Who are you? Why are you in my way?" He drew his sword, revealing it to be Excalibur. Issei thought, that sword, couldn't it be? "Master, it seems the mad dog wields a holy sword, Excalibur. But this one is different," Mordred communicated to him. "All right, Mordred, go ahead," Issei instructed, and she nodded, stepping forward to confront the priest. Freed took his fighting stance, and Mordred mirrored him, both preparing for battle. "I'm going to kill you and take that sword," Freed shouted, his face twisted with rage. "Your wish, mad dog," Mordred replied, charging at him. She swung her sword, but Freed blocked her attack, realizing her strength was formidable. He attempted to counter, but her armor protected her as she fought back fiercely, landing powerful blows. Freed spat blood as Mordred pummeled him relentlessly, her fists and kicks overwhelming him. Eventually, she raised her sword, preparing to strike. Freed attempted to block, but she cut down with precision. "What?" he screamed as she severed his right arm, his voice filled with agony. "You insufferable," he began, but Mordred backhanded him to the ground. "Shut up, mad dog." You're annoying, she retorted. Fried struggled to his feet, desperate to retaliate, but Carmilla appeared, stabbing him through the chest. Now then, where were we? She asked, then unleashed her noble phantasm, beginning to stake him down. After the false priest was defeated by the holy maiden, who used a coffin to subdue him, she ensured he would no longer harm anyone. In the aftermath, Carmilla, a vampire, was drawn to the remnants of the confrontation, her thirst for blood evident as she lingered nearby. Meanwhile, Issei approached the young nun, Asia, who appeared shaken. Are you all right, Asia? He asked gently. I'm fine. But what's happening here? Who are these people? She stammered. Let's just say I have allies who are always by my side. Now, let's get you to safety, he assured her, prompting a nod from the nun. He guided her toward his other companions, ensuring her protection. Turning to Mordred, he added, Mordred, it's time to unleash the noble phantasm. We need to eliminate these fallen angels and cultists. Mordred's expression shifted to one of wicked delight as she nodded in agreement. Issei signaled for his other servants to step back, allowing Mordred to raise her sword and prepare her powerful attack. With a swift motion, the treacherous knight swung her sword down, releasing a devastating blast that struck the fallen angels and cultists. The force of her attack obliterated them, leaving nothing but chaos in its wake. The explosion rocked the church and its surroundings, causing significant destruction. As the dust settled, remnants of the fallen angels and sinners lay scattered, their threat finally extinguished. Issei and his servants quickly departed, returning to their home, knowing that justice had been served. Time skip later. Back to Rias. Rias and her peerage felt the surge of mana and energy, accompanied by tremors that surprised her. She turned to see flames in the distance. Is that? She began, astonished. Kiba, don't you think? He started to say. It was him, Rias confirmed. So powerful. His servants are terrifying, Kaneko remarked. That power could destroy everything around here, Akino added. Just then, a door opened, revealing Sona Citri and her peerage arriving. Sona! Rias exclaimed. Did you? Sona began. Yes, I can sense it, Rias replied. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei was at home with Asia, ensuring she was safe. He asked if she was hurt, and she shook her head, wanting to stay with him and avoid the chaos outside. He noticed her curiosity about the events that had unfolded and the people involved. Well, the truth is, these people are my friends, and they are heroes from history, he explained. Heroes? What? Asia exclaimed, surprised. Issei gestured to his servants, who nodded in affirmation. All right, this is going to be a long story. But trust me, you need to understand the supernatural world where devils, angels, fallen angels, and monsters exist, he continued, watching as her astonishment grew. He began to explain the Holy Grail War and the nature of the servants. After sharing the details, Issei sighed, grabbed a glass of water, and said, All right, next one. Asia felt a wave of sympathy for the servants who were enduring hardships, but Issei took her hands and reassured her. Asia, I want you to know that I won't let anyone take you away, he said firmly. Issei, she replied softly. He continued, there was a fallen angel named Rainier who tried to deceive me by pretending to be my date. She used me, and I found myself in a life-threatening situation in the park. The fear sent shivers down my spine. But then I summoned my own servants to protect me from such threats. Hearing this made Asia feel a deep concern for Issei and the struggles he had faced, nearly losing his life. I let my guard down. I didn't understand this new world I was stepping into, he admitted. Issei, I'm so sorry, Asia began to say. No, Asia, it's all right. As your master, it's my duty to protect you, he assured her, holding her hands tightly. I promise that I will keep you safe from any threats, whether they are fallen angels or anyone else. His words brought a smile to her face, and in a moment of affection, she leaned in and kissed him. Just then, the female servants emerged from their hiding spots, eager for his attention. In another location, a mysterious figure observed the events unfolding. So, the true master has awakened his sacred gear on his own. Interesting. Perhaps I will meet him later to see just how strong he really is, he mused. To be continued. The next morning, Issei woke up and prepared to discuss the dangers posed by devils and the academy with his servants. Asia was playing with Jackie, the young assassin, and they looked adorable together. Issei felt relieved seeing them happy, so he headed to the bathroom for a quick shower. After dressing in his school uniform, he declared, "All right, time to go to school," before stepping out of his bedroom. As he walked down the hallway, he noticed that his parents and Asia were already awake, enjoying a peaceful morning. Amiya was busy cooking breakfast, and Issei couldn't help but feel grateful for his E-rank luck, which seemed to bring them all together. "Morning," he greeted. "Morning," they replied in unison. Issei took a seat with his family and friends, sharing a pleasant breakfast filled with laughter and conversation. Being surrounded by loved ones made him feel much better after everything he had been through. "Where are you going, Issei?" Asia asked, her curiosity piqued. "I'm heading to school, Asia. I'll be back this afternoon," he explained, sensing her concern. "Okay," she replied, though a hint of worry lingered in her voice. As Issei waved goodbye to everyone, Asia watched him leave, her heart filled with concern for his safety. Just then, a small hand grasped hers, and she turned to see Jack, the little servant. "Don't worry, Asia. Mommy will be all right. He'll be a hero," Jack said cheerfully, which brought a smile to Asia's face. Jack then led her back into the house, eager to have fun together. Later, at school, Issei attended his classes before making his way to the ORC room for a meeting with Rias and her peerage. He arrived just in time to see Rias playing chess by herself. "Issei, you made it. Please come in," she welcomed him. "Okay, I'm here." "What's this about?" he asked, curious. "Do you know what happened last night?" she inquired. "Let me guess. My servants and I were involved in the chaos, right?" he replied, and she nodded. "You and your servants caused a significant disturbance last night, which nearly endangered lives," Rias explained. "Those fallen angels need to leave humanity alone." "I'm tired of their presence," Issei stated firmly. "You need to fix this." "I've already taken care of it, but Sona erased the memories of those who witnessed the incident," Rias informed him, prompting a chuckle from Issei. "I'm glad you're helping out. But what else do you need from me?" "I'm not joining your peerage," he said, and Rias laughed lightly, assuring him that wasn't necessary. She then explained the game and the rules, emphasizing that he would need to defeat her peerage members with the help of his servants. Then Issei heard the chuckles from the servants who were eager to challenge the weaker members of the peerage. He noticed Rias and the others, unaware of the impending battles. Seeing this, Issei decided to accept the challenge immediately. He looked at Rias and the rest of the peerage and declared, "All right, I accept the challenge." This made Rias smile and nod in approval. She led him outside to a spacious area where they could engage in a real fight. Issei stood there, glancing at Rias, who nodded back at him. He summoned his 3 servants, who arrived just in time. "All right, you 3. Here's the list of your opponents," he instructed them, and they nodded in understanding. Aquino versus Medusa. Kiba versus Artoria. Kaneko versus Fran. "Sounds interesting," Medusa murmured to herself as she prepared for the fight. Artoria readied her sword, and Fran cracked her neck, signaling her readiness to Issei. The 3 servants moved forward, with Aquino stepping up first, a confident smirk on her face. "Well, it's good to see an opponent. I hope to make this a memorable experience for you," she taunted, her smirk unwavering. "In your dreams, demon," Medusa shot back, taking her fighting stance. Aquino unleashed her lightning power, sending arcs of electricity toward Medusa, who swiftly dodged the strikes, evading the electric spears aimed at her. "Let's see if you can survive this," Aquino challenged, throwing her weapons at Medusa. Medusa responded with determination, charging straight at Aquino. She leaped from the ground, landing behind her, and attempted to strike with her knife. Aquino raised a shield just in time to block the attack, but Medusa followed up with a swift kick that sent Aquino reeling backward. Then, Medusa removed her BLNDFLD, revealing her glowing purple eyes, which startled Aquino and left her momentarily frozen in place. "I can't move." "Wait, her eyes. Could it be?" Aquino thought, realizing the danger. Medusa seized the opportunity, launching a flurry of strikes that knocked Aquino to the ground. Rias and the others watched in shock. What? She defeated her so easily? Sona exclaimed in disbelief. Who is she? Is she? Saiji stammered, but Rias interrupted, announcing, the winner is Medusa. The revelation of Medusa's eyes left everyone stunned, recalling the myths and legends associated with her name. Next up was Artoria against Kiba, both knights charging toward each other. Kiba glared at Artoria, who narrowed her eyes in response. Now, who might you be? Kiba asked. Artoria Pendragon. King of Britain, she replied, surprising him. Impossible. How can the king of knights be a girl? Kiba exclaimed, his disbelief evident. Artoria felt insulted by his words and retaliated with a swift kick that sent him to the ground. Do not insult me with your words, devil. Why are you so obsessed with my sword? She demanded, watching as Kiba got back to his feet, anger flashing in his eyes. Because that sword took my friends and family, he shouted, his frustration palpable. Artoria, confused, prepared for his charge. As he swung his weapon, she effortlessly slashed it to pieces. Kiba attempted to summon another weapon but realized it was futile against the king of knights. He felt the tip of her sword at his throat. Will you yield? She asked, and he surrendered immediately. Issei noticed Kiba's glare at the sword, sensing there was more to discuss with him later. Rias, astonished, witnessed Artoria's prowess with Excalibur and realized just how powerful her servant truly was. Artoria Pendragon wins, she announced, a hint of sweat on her brow. Finally, Fran faced Kaneko, who was unaware of Fran's true strength as a servant. Kaneko charged at Fran, but the servant easily overpowered her. Fran let out a fierce roar and swung her mace, striking Kaneko hard and causing her to spit blood. So strong. I can't defeat her, Kaneko thought, struggling against the overwhelming force of her opponent. I'll be squashed, she thought as Fran swung her mace, striking her with incredible force. The impact sent the Nico girl crashing into a nearby tree, leaving her unconscious on the ground. The other servants watched in disbelief. Wow, what a fight! Who are these servants? They're not human. They're monsters, they thought to themselves. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei stood with the servants, facing off against Rias and her peerage. Despite their best efforts, Rias's team struggled against the overwhelming strength of the servants. Issei noticed Rias's determination faltering, and he couldn't help but chuckle, wanting to show her his own strength. Now then, why am I here, Rias? Was there an emergency? He asked, prompting her to nod in agreement. I need you to stay here until he arrives, Rias replied, her voice filled with urgency. Iskandar wondered, who is he? Siyu thought, another devil meeting? Amiya pondered what could possibly go wrong. As they waited, Rias sighed, revealing her inner turmoil. I'm not ready for this. I can't go through with this marriage, she muttered to herself, frustration evident in her tone. Issei settled in, preparing for whatever would happen next. Suddenly, an arrogant figure appeared, a man with short blonde hair dressed in a red suit. Riser Phoenix. Issei thought, an arrogant fool. The servants exchanged glances, amused by Issei's calm demeanor in the face of their opponent. Riser approached Rias, reaching out to touch her face. Riser has arrived. My beautiful beloved Rias, he declared. For the last time, Riser, I have no intention of marrying you. Rias shot back, her voice firm. Riser, undeterred, looked at Issei, who was sitting casually. Wait, who is this? Why is this insect here? Riser asked, irritation creeping into his voice. Issei thought, oh no, here we go. The servants bristled with anger at Riser's disrespect. Nero thought, how dare he disrespect our leader? Kyoheim fumed, insolent fool. You dare speak to my master like that? Ashiwakamar thought, lies and slander. I'll take down this devil. Leonidas considered, I'll smash this fool with my shield. Vlad III thought, his blood will be mine. The servants were ready to retaliate, but Issei tried to calm them down. "Hey, why don't you back off?" he said to Riser, who was visibly angered. "You dare insult me? I'll take you down," Riser shouted, preparing to unleash his power. Just then, another devil servant appeared, a maid named Graphia. "Riser, killing a human will have consequences," she warned. Riser huffed in annoyance, but Graphia turned to Rias, reminding her of the potential fallout of bringing a human into their conflict. Riser summoned his peerage, a group of women, which only fueled Issei's irritation. What a disgusting display, Artoria thought, agreeing with Issei's disdain for Riser's arrogance. "Oh, did I interrupt your little show? I didn't mean to. Besides, Rias isn't going to marry you," Issei said, his tone mocking. "You dare insult Riser? I am the king of this world, and no one can take me down." Riser bellowed, but Issei remained unfazed. "Are you really sure about that, bird?" A new voice chimed in, surprising everyone. Issei sat back, revealing the presence of another figure, Gilgamesh, clad in golden armor. "What charming words you have, worm," Gilgamesh said, addressing Riser. "Who are you?" Riser exclaimed, taken aback by this new arrival. Gilgamesh smirked. "It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is you claiming to be a king. Remember, I am the king of kings, and you are nothing but an insect." "What did you say, you insolent human?" Riser began, but before he could finish, Gilgamesh swiftly struck, sending Riser crashing against the wall of the building, a holy sword piercing his leg. "What? A holy sword?" Riser gasped in shock. "Master! Big brother!" his peerage shouted, rushing to help him, but Gilgamesh interrupted. "One more word from you, worm, and you'll regret it. I'll take you down like a wild animal," he declared, prompting his servant to open several portals ahead, allowing swords to emerge from the walls. "I know who you are. Devils, fallen angels, and angels. You're all just weak insects compared to me. I will defeat you," Gilgamesh proclaimed. Issei interjected, "My lord, you cannot eliminate them here. There will be a match against Riser." This made the servant chuckle slightly, while Graphia wiped the sweat from her brow, realizing she needed to assess this servant. He proved to be strong and quick, but there was an air of danger about him. "Miss, can you explain the rules?" Issei asked, prompting Graphia to nod and begin detailing the rating game and the match they needed to win to determine whether Riser or Issei would emerge victorious. Issei accepted the challenge, determined to stand by his allies and ensure that the arrogant opponent would not escape this time. This would be a decisive battle. To be continued. The next morning. As the day arrived, Issei began his walk back to school, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. He was on his way to meet Rias and her peerage members, his hands tucked into his jacket pockets as he moved forward. "You made it!" Rias exclaimed upon seeing him. "All right, I'm here now. Is everyone ready?" he asked, receiving nods from the group, all prepared to face their adversaries. Graphia inquired, "So, everyone is here, right?" The group nodded, ready for the challenge ahead. Issei chuckled, anticipating how Riser and his peerage would fare against the powerful allies he had gathered. He waited for Riser to arrive with his team, and soon they appeared, just in time. Riser Phoenix and his peerage members included Yubaluna, Maihi, Carlamine, Cirrus, Isabella, Shualan, Isle and Nell, and I and Lee, Marion, Bulant, Shuria, and Mira. "That's the game. The match will begin now," Graphia announced, prompting Issei to respond with a confident grin. "All right, let's do this," he said, summoning his servants to stand by him. Issei crossed his arms, maintaining a calm demeanor, but his expression shifted to one of seriousness as he prepared to see how Rias and her peerage would handle the upcoming challenge. "Shall we begin the game?" he asked, and Graphia nodded, glancing at her watch. "Begin," she declared. Time skip later. In another location. The peerage members split up, each preparing to face the servants. Queen Eubelna was set to confront Carmilla and Semiramis, who were ready to engage her immediately. Eubelna attempted to unleash her powers against the two servants, but they skillfully blocked her attacks, leaving her overwhelmed. Eubelna thought to herself, "Why can't I land a hit on them?" They are unstoppable. Frustrated, she tried to strike them again, but suddenly another blast hit her, sending her crashing to the ground. Carmilla smirked. It seems you're still struggling. Now then, shall we have some fun, Semiramis? As you wish, Carmilla, Semiramis replied, strategizing as she prepared to unleash her noble phantasm against their opponent. With a powerful blast from Semiramis, Eubelna was knocked out of the fight, leaving only a few opponents remaining. Among them were Maihi and Siyu, who faced off against each other. Maihi took her fighting stance, waiting for Siyu to make his move. The spearman charged at her, and she raised her sword to block his attacks. Despite her efforts, Siyu's spear was formidable, and she struggled to keep up. Maihi thought, what kind of weapon is he wielding? Just then, Siyu landed a kick to her midsection, causing her to double over and spit blood onto the ground. You should give up, kid. I'll end your misery, Siyu taunted, infuriating Maihi. Fueled by anger, she launched an attack, but Siyu effortlessly shattered her weapon with a swift strike, leaving her stunned. He then delivered a powerful kick that sent her sprawling to the ground, knocking her out. There goes her, Siyu remarked to himself. Next, Carloman and Cirrus prepared to face Lancelot, the berserker. Lancelot let out a furious roar, his rage palpable as dark mist enveloped him. Carloman and Cirrus steeled themselves, determined to take him down with their combined powers. However, Lancelot proved to be overwhelmingly strong, easily overpowering the two of them with brutal strikes. With a thunderous roar, Lancelot unleashed his noble phantasm, transforming his weapon into a minigun. The sight sent chills down Carloman and Cirrus's spines. Holy cow! They shouted in shock as they were bombarded with a flurry of shots from the berserker. With that, Carloman and Cirrus were swiftly defeated, eliminated from the competition. Lancelot, still seething with anger, let out another thunderous roar into the sky. Meanwhile, Shuilan, Isle, and Nellin faced Scathach, who brandished 2 spears. She surveyed the trio, asking, Now then, which one of you wants to fight me first? The 3 exchanged nervous glances, fear evident in their eyes, before charging at her together. Scathach sighed, such disappointment, and began to engage them. She swiftly demonstrated her prowess, easily overpowering the trio, who had underestimated her strength. Have enough yet? She asked, watching them struggle to catch their breath, nearly defeated. With a resigned sigh, she declared, Well, all right then. Time for you 3 to exit the game, before activating her noble phantasm. After the 3 of them were pulled through the portal, they struggled to escape but ultimately lost consciousness. They were out of the game, and the servant let out a satisfied umph, appearing unfazed by the situation. Ahead of them stood 4 opponents, Marion, Bulant, Shuria, and Mira. The servant, now revealed to be Karna, soared above them, launching blasts from his spear that sent shockwaves through the air. The 4 opponents were knocked to the ground, bruised and battered from the force of his attacks. Karna observed them with a smirk. You 4 are struggling to survive, he mused, watching as they attempted to use their powers and weapons against him. He effortlessly shielded himself from their attacks and retaliated with powerful blasts that overwhelmed them. With a chuckle, he declared, Time to finish this foolish challenge game, before unleashing his noble phantasm. The explosion was cataclysmic, reminiscent of a nuclear blast, wiping out everything in its vicinity. The 4 opponents stood no chance against the overwhelming power of Karna's attack. It was nearly over for Riser. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei stood watching as his servants decisively defeated Riser's peerage members, a smile creeping onto his face. Graphia and Rias, along with her peerage, were taken aback by the display of strength from Issei's servants, realizing just how formidable they were, unstoppable and invincible. Rias thought to herself, they took out every member of his peerage by themselves. Graphia was equally astonished. Impossible. Poor they aren't human. She watched as Issei's servants eliminated Riser's team with ease. Who is this young man? How did he manage to command them? Issei called out, Hey maid, how many peerage members did the chicken have? Graphia replied, This will be the last one. Hearing this, Issei chuckled, feeling a surge of pride as he watched his servants dominate the battlefield. Meanwhile, back with Mordred, Isabella found herself struggling against the treacherous knight. Mordred stood confidently, ready for battle. Isabella attempted to use her martial arts skills to gain the upper hand, but Mordred remained unfazed. "How aren't you defeated yet?" Isabella exclaimed in frustration. Mordred laughed. "Foolish girl. I have armor to protect me." She retaliated with a punch that sent Isabella crashing to the ground, following up with a relentless barrage of strikes. Mordred kicked Isabella down again, then raised her sword, ready to strike. Isabella screamed as she felt the pressure of Mordred's attack. She's not a normal opponent. What is she? Isabella thought, just before taking another hit to the stomach. Mordred declared, "Time to finish this," as she prepared to unleash her noble phantasm. After the noble phantasm struck Isabella, she was unable to withstand its power, leaving her vulnerable to Mordred's relentless assault. With the last of her strength fading, Mordred stood ready, waiting for what would come next. Issei couldn't help but smile at the display of strength from his servant and their ability to take down every enemy in their path with ease. Issei thought to himself, "Now then, where is Riser?" Grayfia pointed ahead. "There he is." Issei turned to see Riser, who was angrily shouting, "Damn you! Riser is about to win, and now you've ruined everything." Issei replied coolly, "Actually, she doesn't want to marry you, you arrogant fool." Riser's frustration grew, and he prepared to charge at Issei. Anticipating the attack, Issei summoned his gauntlet and activated his balance breaker. "Time to change," he said, feeling the power surge through him as he transformed into his red armored knight form, complete with a tail. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches, he was ready for battle. "Time to end this, Riser," Issei declared, focusing on his opponent. He was determined to take down the Phoenix once and for all, utilizing the martial arts techniques he had learned from his servants. With a flurry of punches and kicks, Issei unleashed a barrage of attacks on Riser, sending him crashing to the ground. Just as he was about to deliver the final blow, he paused, contemplating a different approach. "Partner, what are you doing?" Drake asked. "Don't worry. I have a plan to defeat this guy. I want to show Riser the consequences of his disrespect," Issei replied, and Drake fell silent, curious to see what Issei had in mind. As Riser prepared to retaliate, a sword suddenly pierced his shoulder, causing him to scream in surprise and pain. "Tharg! Who dares?" Riser began, only to realize that Gilgamesh stood before him, having flown in from above. "Now it is my turn. Time for you to face the consequences, mongrel," Gilgamesh declared. Issei, sensing the impending danger, muttered, I think it's time for me to step back." He quickly distanced himself, knowing that Gilgamesh was about to unleash a powerful finishing move on Riser. With a swift motion, Gilgamesh released his noble phantasm, engulfing Riser in a devastating blast that left him reeling. Nero laughed heartily at the thought of Issei rejecting Rias, declaring he wouldn't become her husband and instead choosing his own path with Asia. Issei, having picked himself up from the ground, turned to Nero and asked her a question. "Hey Nero," he said. "Yes," she replied. "How about we take a dance?" he suggested. Hearing this, Nero felt a blush rise to her cheeks, and she nodded in agreement. The two began to dance together, with Nero teaching Issei the steps. Their movements were lively and joyful, drawing the attention of the other female servants who wished to join in, eager to fill their beloved master's heart with happiness. His daughters Bunyan, Jack, Nursery Rhyme, and Santa Lily Jean joined him, creating a beautiful scene of family and love. Issei felt a deep sense of joy as he looked at them, realizing they were his family. He knew that he would protect them and the world from any danger. Time skip later. Somewhere else. A figure stood alone on a rooftop, watching Issei dance with his servants below. The figure had white hair and wore casual clothing, observing the young man with interest. "So this is him? The Holy Knight Emperor, Dragon, humanity's savior," he murmured to himself. He wanted to confront Issei, but not just yet. He would wait for the right moment. "I'll test him out," he decided. 3 days later, it seemed that the marriage had been cancelled, and Riser had received his comeuppance at the hands of Issei and his servant, King Gilgamesh. The two had decisively dealt with Riser, who had been set to marry Rias. It was a moment of humiliation for Riser, and he would be wise to stay out of Issei's way. With his mission complete, Issei could now focus on enjoying a normal life in the human world. Issei was determined to do everything in his power to improve humanity's future, ensuring that it would not fall into the hands of devils and fallen angels. Present. In his regular outfit, Issei sat in a temple, hands clasped in prayer. He felt a sense of peace wash over him as he sought understanding of hope and loyalty. The sound of laughter drew his attention, and he turned to see Jack, Nursery Rhyme, Bunyan, and Santa Lily Jean playing with Asia, their new mother. Asia, innocent and full of belief, brought joy to the scene. What a peaceful sight, Issei thought to himself. Suddenly he felt a gentle embrace and turned to find Ashiwakamaru. "Hello, my lord," she greeted him. "Hello, Ashiwakamaru. I'm surprised to see you here." "I was just finishing my prayer," he replied. "I came to talk with you, my lord," she said, prompting a chuckle from Issei. He encouraged her to share what was on her mind, and they chatted for a while, enjoying each other's company. Once Issei, Asia, and the servants finished their time in the temple, they decided to leave. As they descended the stairs, Issei sensed a dark aura approaching. "Asia, stay behind me," he instructed, and she nodded. Ashiwakamaru and Jack instinctively took defensive stances, ready to protect their master. A figure approached, flanked by Sasaki Kojiro, Gawain, and Jalter, all with weapons drawn. "Easy, I'm not here to fight," the newcomer said. "What do you want?" Issei asked, narrowing his eyes at the intruder. "I came to talk with you, Hyoudou," the figure replied. Issei scrutinized him, noticing the long red hair and green eyes that resembled Rias's. He needed to uncover the truth about this mysterious individual. Then the young man looked at the adult man who was dressing himself in regal attire, resembling a king, and Issei asked him, "Who are you?" "Surzex Gremory, and I am Satan Lucifer," he replied. Issei recognized Surzex as Rias's older brother. "Do you want to speak with me?" he inquired. "Yes, I wish to ally with you because I know what Rias did to you back there, and it is unforgivable," Surzex said earnestly. Issei sensed that the man was being truthful. Just as he was about to respond, a feminine voice called out from behind them another servant had arrived. Oda Nobunaga stepped forward. "Give me a good reason to trust you," she challenged, catching Surzex off guard. "Oda Nobunaga? He exclaimed in surprise. "Oh, you know about me? How interesting," she replied with a smirk. Issei urged her to stand down, wanting to hear what the devil had to say. He was prepared to consider an alliance with Surzex. After a moment of thought, Issei decided to invite the devil to his home to discuss matters further. Later, Issei sat with his servants, listening as Surzex explained the threats they faced, particularly from fallen angels who were committing heinous acts against humanity. Issei needed to know about Kokubile, the lord of fallen angels, and Surzex shook his head, admitting he had not located him. "I believe we are still researching his whereabouts. He must be stopped before he uses his sacred gears to wreak havoc on mankind," Surzex warned. "No, let us handle this," Issei insisted. "You mean you and your servants?" Surzex asked, surprised when Issei nodded. Surzex recalled Rias mentioning that Issei was the master of powerful allies who had already dispatched many fallen angels without mercy. The thought of Issei and his servants made Surzex wary. He understood that Issei was not to be underestimated. This was Issei's path to improve humanity, and Surzex cautioned him about Kokubile and the fallen angels, who had a terrifying army equipped with formidable weapons. They both chuckled at the gravity of the situation. "Really? Is that what you're going to say?" Issei asked. What do you mean?" Surzex replied. "There are other powerful servants who can defeat these fallen angels and Kokubile," Issei said, surprising Surzex even more. Amiya then explained how these servants had faced great dangers in other worlds and were ready to confront the fallen angels and Kokubile directly. Siyu elaborated on how his powerful spear could take down a god, while Enkidu and Gilgamesh were equally capable of defeating the fallen angels. The thought of the impending battle brought a grim satisfaction. Issei and his servants were prepared to face their enemies head-on. To be continued. Next night later, Issei began moving through Kuoh town, determined to eliminate Kokubeel and the other fallen angels. He was ready to confront them alone, taking a long walk toward his destination. As he walked, he noticed a church against the backdrop of a purple sky. "Seems the battle is just getting started," he muttered to himself. As he smirked at the thought of the fallen angels, he spotted Rias, Sona, and their peerage members engaged in combat with fallen angel soldiers. They were working hard to take them down. "Oda," he called out. "Yes? My general," she responded. "Time for you to bring those enemies down," he instructed. Oda chuckled and, with a nod, revealed her black wings. She took to the sky, ready to unleash her firepower. "Fire!" she shouted, opening fire on the fallen angels. The others watched in astonishment as Oda expertly shot down the enemies, her weapons striking true. Rias and the others turned to see Oda in action, equally surprised by her fierce display. "Rejoice! You face the sixth of heaven of Demon King," Oda declared, her confidence radiating as the battle intensified. "Oh, Nobunaga!" she shouted, startling Rias, Sona, and their peerage members. The mere mention of the name sent a shiver down their spines. The fallen angels, taken aback by fear, shook their heads but pressed on to attack Rias and Sona. However, the Demon King unleashed her power, sending a wave of energy that knocked the attackers back. As the fallen angels prepared to strike, she defended herself with precision, wielding her sword to fend them off effortlessly. Suddenly, an arrow flew through the air, striking the fallen angels ahead. Rias sensed a new presence and turned her head to see Issei and his allies arriving just in time. "Issei, what are you doing here?" Rias exclaimed. "Your brother sent me to handle these fallen angels." "Now, where's Kokubeel?" Issei asked, scanning the area. Rias began, but they all turned to see Kokubeel and his fallen angels approaching. Issei narrowed his eyes. That's him." He recalled Gil's remark about Kokubeel resembling a chicken, deserving of a fiery fate. A chuckle escaped him as he summoned his servants, a total of 15 appearing at his command. Artoria, Arthur, Prototype, the Knights of the Round Table, Jalter, Salter, Kyoheim, Reiku, Mori, Sakata, Temamo no Mei, Enkidu, and others materialized, ready for battle. They all focused on the fallen angels ahead. Issei commanded them to charge, and they surged forward, overwhelming the fallen angels with their might. Then Issei summoned 3 formidable berserkers, their presence radiating raw power as they prepared to engage the enemy. "Hercules. Beowulf. That's them. It's time to let you out, Darius III, Hercules, and Beowulf. Show them what you're made of," Issei thought, his expression turning steely. "Kill them. All of them," he ordered, and the 3 servants advanced, ready to decimate the foes before them. After the blast of Gilgamesh's noble phantasm struck the arrogant opponent, the force sent him crashing to the ground. Gilgamesh turned his gaze to Riser's body, covered in burns and bruises, a sight that made him chuckle at the pitiful state of the creature lying there, defeated. "What a useless creature," he muttered to himself. "Oh, don't hurt him." A voice cried out, drawing Gilgamesh's attention to Riser's sister, Ravel, who rushed forward with her arms raised, desperate to defend her brother. "Don't you hurt him," she pleaded, begging Gilgamesh not to take her brother's life. "Out of my way, foolish girl. Do you wish to join your brother in death?" he asked, his tone cold. "I don't want you to kill him. Please have mercy. Have mercy on him," Ravel implored, her eyes filled with desperation. Gilgamesh observed her for a moment before Issei, who had urged him not to act, sighed heavily. "If you wish to join your brother, that is fine by me. But I will not stop until I have dealt with this coward myself," he declared, vanishing in an instant, leaving Issei standing alone. Issei, now back in his casual clothes, looked at the devastation around him. "Now that's how you do it," he said to himself, reflecting on the destruction caused and the weight of his actions. He resolved to do everything he could to fix the chaos that had unfolded. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei stood alone on the rooftop of the school building, watching the sun dip below the horizon. He felt he had finally achieved what he truly wanted. With the servants by his side, protecting him from the dangers of this world, he believed everything would be all right. He had received a letter from Rias, asking him to marry her, but he had turned her down. Issei had decided he could no longer ally himself with the devils, whom he viewed as monsters. He recalled how Rias had failed to save him when he had been attacked by a fallen angel, and anger bubbled within him. Trusting her or any devil seemed impossible now. After school, he sat quietly, watching the beautiful sunset. "Praetor, are you all right?" a voice called out, and Nero Claudius appeared, landing gracefully beside him. "I'm fine, Nero. I'm just enjoying my solitude," he replied, trying to reassure her. "What happened?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "Well, the red-haired devil asked me to marry her, but I decided to give her a taste of the pain she caused me when I was close to death," he explained. Nero, still harboring resentment towards Rias for allowing her master to be harmed, felt a sense of satisfaction at Issei's response. This was a lesson for Rias, one she needed to learn. Rias watched in disbelief. "What is happening?" she thought to herself. Sona, witnessing the chaos, thought, "These servants. They are wiping out the fallen angels by themselves. Just who are they?" She observed as 3 berserkers began to decimate their enemies with ease. Ashiwakamaru charged forward, slicing through fallen angels with powerful strikes, unleashing her noble phantasm to further devastate their ranks. The scene was one of utter chaos, but the servants fought with a ferocity that left onlookers in awe. Valley thought to himself, "Impossible. They are wiping them out." He watched as many fallen angels fell to the overwhelming power of the servants. Azazel pondered, "They are taking them down effortlessly. But what are they? What kind of power do these humans possess? How strong do they appear?" As he contemplated, the 2 servants prepared to unleash their noble phantasms on the fallen angels ahead, ready to clear the battlefield. Beowulf began to take down fallen angels, sending one flying like a bowling ball, while another berserker crushed his weapon down on a fallen angel, defeating him with ease. He then turned to face the remaining fallen angels and unleashed his noble phantasm, continuing to eliminate them single-handedly. The fallen angels crumbled like insects before the might of the servants, unable to withstand their assault. Yet they pressed on, determined to take down the servants. The servants continued to fight, dispatching their enemies with relentless efficiency. Tamamo shouted, "Now it's my turn." She activated her noble phantasm, causing a massive explosion that sent fallen angels flying. The fallen angels faced relentless defeat at the hands of the servants. Tamamo no Mae executed her noble phantasm, obliterating the fallen angels in a spectacular display. They refused to give up, but it was now Jalter's turn to join the fray. "I'm going to take you out, Ravens," she declared, unleashing her noble phantasm. Jalter's power engulfed the fallen angels, incinerating them in a blaze they could not escape. To be continued. Back to Issei. As Issei watched the servants effortlessly dispatch their enemies, a smile spread across his face. He turned to see Kokobile, gritting his teeth in anger at the sight of his army being decimated by these extraordinary humans. Looks like the fallen angel lord is getting frustrated," Issei mused to himself. Kokobile shouted, "Diminu! How dare you challenge me? I will crush you with my bare hands." Just as he prepared to attack, another servant appeared, Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll said, "Sorry, we won't let you do that." He transformed into Hyde, who added, "Because I'm going to enjoy taking you down, Kokobile." Kokobile looked down to see Enkidu floating nearby, accompanied by Reiku, Scathach, and several other servants: Mordred, Lancelot, Kyoheim, Gillis, and Ivan the Terrible. The group charged at him, unleashing a flurry of attacks that overwhelmed the fallen angel. "Dimenu!" Kokobile roared, but he was met with a barrage of strikes. Finally, Hyde unleashed his noble phantasm. Kokubil screamed in pain as Jekyll and Hyde relentlessly attacked him, forcing him to step back from the damage. He struggled to land a hit on the servants, who were proving to be incredibly strong and relentless. "Dimenu! I will squash you both like bugs," he shouted, only to be pierced by arrows from Reiku, who had drawn her bow. Scathach used her spear to strike at him, determined to bring him down. Kokubil conjured 3 spears, hurling them at the servants, but they dodged the attacks with agility, doing everything they could to defeat the fallen lord. Issei stood by, watching as Kokubil found himself outnumbered. Siyu managed to slash off one of Kokubil's wings, causing him to scream in agony. "Far away, Awarg!" Kokubil cried out as Siyu's strike landed. Jalter and Karna then unleashed their powers, engulfing the fallen angel in flames that burned with intensity, eliciting more cries of pain from him. Struggling to rise, Kokubil gasped for breath as he faced the formidable servants before him, preparing to unleash his noble phantasm in a last-ditch effort. Kokubil let out a furious roar, his voice filled with pain as he clutched the wound in his chest. The powerful blast from Siyu's noble phantasm had struck him hard, and the Lord of Fallen Angels fell to the ground, gritting his teeth in anger. He was furious at the servants who had dared to challenge him, ready to retaliate. Issei stepped forward, his voice steady. "Kokubil, why do you want to destroy the world of mankind? Please, explain it to me." Kokubil's response was filled with venom as he expressed his hatred for humanity and his disdain for God, whom he considered his father. He spoke of his desire for love, twisted by rage, and how he wanted to bring destruction to the world, now that God was gone. The other servants, including Santa Lily Jean and Ruler Jean, listened in shock, tears welling in their eyes at the mention of a dead God who had abandoned them. Jalter interjected, her voice firm. "That gives me a reason to stop you. You cannot destroy this world." With determination, she activated her noble phantasm. As Jalter unleashed her power, Kokubil found himself engulfed in flames, struggling to heal himself but feeling weaker than ever. He had believed himself invincible, but now he was on the ground, preparing to fight back. "I'll kill you all," he shouted, hurling his weapon at the servants. They dodged swiftly, countering with a flurry of strikes that left him reeling. "Take this, Kokubil!" Ivan shouted, launching his own attack. Kokubil screamed in agony as Ivan's noble phantasm struck him, but he defiantly roared, "You really think that would kill me?" Suddenly, a deep, ominous voice echoed around them. Kokubil turned to see a towering figure clad in dark armor, exuding an aura of death. "No, you will not destroy this world, Kokubil," King Hassan declared, his presence commanding. Kokubil stammered, "Who are you?" "Silence. Your madness ends here," King Hassan replied, surprising Kokubil with his intent to use his own noble phantasm against him. "I don't care who you are. You servants cannot kill me. I am Kokubil, Lord of Fallen Angels," he shouted defiantly. "We shall see," King Hassan responded. As King Hassan unleashed his noble phantasm, Kokubil realized too late the fate that awaited him. His body was torn apart, reduced to nothingness. To be continued. Back to Issei. He watched as Kokubil fell, finally defeated by King Hassan and the combined efforts of the servants. A sigh of relief escaped him. The Lord of Fallen Angels had been vanquished. "Lord Kokubil is dead," one fallen angel shouted, panic spreading among their ranks. Impossible," another cried, fear etched on their faces. "Kokubil is dead." "But how?" a third questioned, dread filling the air as they looked upon their fallen leader. "Demon, those devils and humans. They must pay," one of the fallen angels shouted, rallying the others to prepare for battle. They were filled with rage, ready to avenge their lord. But before they could act, gunfire erupted around them. "Don't forget about me, fools," Oda taunted, a sadistic grin on her face that sent chills down their spines. "Time for you all to meet your end," she declared, channeling her noble phantasm and unleashing a devastating blast that obliterated the fallen angels. Those who attempted to flee were caught in the chaos, meeting their demise as the servants' power rained down upon them. The horde of fallen angels was swiftly defeated by Oda's noble phantasm, with blasts and gunshots echoing as Oda Nobunaga eliminated the enemies with remarkable efficiency. Issei watched with a satisfied smile as the fallen angels were overwhelmed by his army of servants, feeling a sense of triumph as they fell one after another, unable to fight back against his forces. Issei hummed softly, pleased with the outcome. Now, what's next? He pondered, preparing to leave the scene. Issei! Rias called out, causing him to sigh as he turned to see her, Sona, and the other members of the peerage approaching. Issei, what are you doing? Sona asked, concern evident in her voice. Yes, this is what I'm doing. No one is going to stop me, he replied confidently. You know that if you continue to eliminate fallen angels or any devils, it will lead to a lot of conflict, Sona warned. I don't care about their race. They need to be removed from this earth, Issei declared. Wait, Sona began, but Issei cut her off. You devils and fallen angels are all the same. You bring chaos, and this is no longer your territory. It's mine, and I won't let anyone stand in my way. Come on, try to take me down, he challenged, surprising them with his fierce determination. Saiji, filled with rage, shouted, How dare you, but was interrupted as a servant appeared, aiming a weapon at him. Hijikata Toshizo, Saito Hajime, and Takasuji emerged, ready for battle, their weapons drawn and aimed at Rias, Sona, and the others. The peerage members were taken aback by the sudden appearance of the three servants. Issei's expression shifted to one of seriousness, a hint of anger in his eyes. I won't let any of you stop me. My plan is to protect humanity from threats like you, he asserted, causing them to exchange worried glances. Another servant appeared beside him, Baoth Ben Sith. What will you do? Stay away from my master's territory, or face the consequences, she warned. You will all face the repercussions of your actions, Issei added, his tone firm. The others were taken aback by his transformation into a formidable figure, realizing he had changed significantly. As they stood together, Issei and his allies prepared for the incoming threats, determined to eliminate the enemies that lurked in the world. Issei smiled slightly, feeling a sense of ownership over the situation. This world belonged to him, and he was ready to protect it. They fear me. What cowards, he thought to himself. What are we going to do now, master? Baoth Ben asked. We will do whatever it takes to ensure this world is safe and everything is under our control, he replied, sharing a brief moment of connection with her. The next morning, it was clear that the servants had dealt with the fallen angels and Kokubile effectively. Issei and his allies had proven themselves as powerful forces, leaving Rias, Sona, and the rest of the peerage feeling uneasy about the threat they now posed. Rias remained in her office, glancing at her peers who sat in silence. She noted the absence of Kiba and Kaneko, likely having left the scene. Akino stood nearby, arms crossed, reflecting on the battle they had witnessed. Something wrong, Rias? Akino asked. I'm worried about Issei. He seems incredibly strong, especially with his allies. They took down those fallen angels effortlessly, Rias admitted. Well, we saw it all, didn't we? Issei dealt with the enemies and Kokubile got what he deserved. Akino responded, reinforcing Rias's concerns about the shift in power dynamics. Rias sighed as she gazed out the window of the building, her eyes drawn to the beautiful sunrise. Rias, Issei, I don't understand why you're upset. But I know it has to do with us and the other races. We have our reasons. I hope you can come to terms with it. Time skip later. Back to Issei. The sound of swords clashing echoed as a young man with blonde hair stood ready to face his opponent, Artoria. She was training Kiba to be stronger and faster, pushing him to his limits. Despite her efforts, Kiba struggled, receiving several blows from Artoria. Yet he was determined to improve, and the two continued their intense sparring. Artoria noticed the hatred in Kiba's eyes directed towards Excalibur and wanted to help him overcome it. Issei hummed softly to himself. Asia noticed his distraction. Is there something wrong, Issei? He turned to see Asia, along with Tamamo no Mei, Nero, Baothben, Kyoheim, Reiku, Scathach, Jalter, and Jean all seated beside him, having fallen in love with him. Nothing, Asia. I'm just thinking about Kiba and how he needs to learn to fight without harboring hatred towards Excalibur, he replied, causing her to smile. Laughter erupted from 3 little girls nearby, who were playing with a small white kitten, Kaneko. Bunyan, Santa Lily Jean, and Nursery Rhyme were also there, petting the kitten, while Kaneko seemed to be reluctantly babysitting them. Kaneko thought to herself, "Someone please help me. I can't handle these 3. Jack sat on Issei's lap, wanting to be close to him. He gently patted her head, admiring her cuteness. "Mommy, can we go out to Kuoh town? Mommy Asia wants to take me to the church," Jack asked eagerly. Issei nodded. "Of course, Jackie. Just wait a little longer, all right?" He was surrounded by the female servants who had become his harem, showering him with love and affection. Meanwhile, a figure stood beside Azazel, revealing himself to be Valet. The young man with white hair was still interested in Issei and yearned for a chance to fight him. Unbeknownst to them, a Hassan assassin lurked nearby, observing the two. To be continued. Next night later. Humanity was safe once more, thanks to Issei, who had dealt with the fallen angels and sent Kokobile to where he belonged. The young man had rid the world of these evils and was now focused on hunting down stray devils who harmed innocent humans. Issei stood alone on the darkened street, staring at the bright full moon. He was determined to make the world a better place, free from the threat of supernatural creatures. The Dragon Emperor had sent the Hassan assassins to patrol the night, hunting down stray devils and sending them to their rightful place. Issei, everything seems fine here. But those stray devils need to be dealt with. He narrowed his eyes at the city, ready to confront the supernatural threats. He remained in contact with the other servants, including Hassan, as they continued their search for the stray devils. Beothban approached him, wrapping her arms around him. "So, darling, what's your plan now?" "Patience. We need to wait for reports on the stray devils," he replied. "I'm glad you're going to hunt them down," she said with a smile. Issei leaned in and kissed her gently before they both smiled at each other. Suddenly, Morgan Le Fay pulled him closer, resting her head against him. "Lover, we should be spending time together," she said with a playful smile. Beothban chimed in, "Actually, I think I should take my darling with me. A woman like you needs a husband, and I want a husband and a partner." Morgan shot back, "A husband is not a toy." Beothban and Morgan, "Please, there's no need to argue. We need to focus on our mission to eliminate these enemies," Issei interjected. "Right, I almost forgot about that," he said, as more girls joined him. Atlanta, Medea, Medusa, Kyoheim, Tamamo no Mae, Hippolyta, and others who wanted to spend time with him. Issei promised the girls that he would date the servants and ensure that they wouldn't need to fight each other, as love would bring them together. "Master," Serenity called, catching Issei's attention. She stood before him, her height modest, wearing a skull mask that concealed her eyes, nose, and half of her face. "We found the stray devils, Master. We know where they are hiding," she informed him. Issei nodded, ready for action. "All right then. Lead the way," he replied. Serenity began to guide Issei and the other servants toward their enemies, who needed to be dealt with swiftly. The servants were a formidable force, capable of overwhelming any opposition. Later, in another location, 46 stray devils were hiding, exhausted from evading their pursuers. They stood still, catching their breath, knowing the servants were still searching for them. "We can't stay here. Those servants are out there hunting us down," one stray devil said anxiously. "Relax, we're safe here. Besides, no one else will come," another replied, trying to reassure the group. "How can you be sure? Those servants took down the fallen angels effortlessly. They're incredibly powerful," a third devil argued. "We're outnumbered and in danger," a fourth devil exclaimed as tension rose among them. They were uncertain about their next move when suddenly, a figure crashed through the wall of the building ahead. The figure landed gracefully on the ground, revealing himself to be a servant. He stood tall, exuding an intimidating presence, ready to confront the strays before him. All the stray devils faced numerous defeats at the hands of Moriarty's powerful noble phantasm. His servant took care of the situation, while another stray devil attempted to escape. However, he was quickly pinned down by a servant who revealed herself to be Morgan Le Fay, her smile widening slightly as the other servants aimed their weapons at the last stray devil. Issei asked, "Now then, who let you out here in this world?" The stray devil stammered, "I won't tell you anything, human," but before he could finish, he was struck from behind, causing him to cry out in pain and spit blood. "If you want to live, you need to tell me everything right now, before I make sure you won't survive," Issei warned. The devil nodded, revealing that Diodora Astaroth was behind the chaos. Issei's anger flared at the thought of Dio wanting to harm anyone, especially Asia. He vowed not to forgive him. To be continued. The next morning, Issei left for school after taking a shower and enjoying breakfast with his family, cherishing their time together. He and Asia, a new student at Kuoh Academy, walked to school, where her beauty and charm caught everyone's attention. Issei's friends, Motohama and Matsuoda, felt a pang of jealousy seeing Asia with him. They wondered why such a beautiful goddess would live with Issei and decided they needed to step up their game with girls, realizing they needed to change their ways. After classes, as Issei and Asia walked home, Issei sensed danger. A strong enemy was nearby. He was alerted by his servants to be cautious. Turning to see a white-haired male in casual clothes, he felt a chill. "Asia, be careful. Something's off about him," he warned, prompting her to step back and hide behind him. As they approached, the man spoke. "Finally. I'm glad to see you here. So, you are Issei Hyoudou?" "Depends. Who's asking?" Issei replied. "My name is Valley. I know who you really are. Dragon Emperor and humanity's savior," he said, stepping forward. Suddenly, 5 servants appeared, weapons drawn. "Don't take another step, pretty boy," Siyu warned, while the others echoed similar threats. Valley glanced at them, impressed. "Very impressive, the servants you have here. You've been watching me this whole time?" Issei asked, narrowing his eyes. "Your sacred gear and power are noteworthy," Valley replied. "Who sent you here?" Issei demanded. "No one. No need to panic, I'm not here to fight. I came to talk and challenge you," Valley stated, maintaining his calm demeanor. Issei remained suspicious, wanting to understand Valley's intentions. "You want to see how strong my sacred gear is, right?" he asked. Valley nodded, and just then, a fallen angel appeared. He had long black hair with a hint of blonde and wore casual clothes, exuding a friendly demeanor despite his intimidating presence. "Hey, now! There's no need to fight each other in public with humans around," he shouted, introducing himself as Azazel. "Now just calm down," he said, trying to diffuse the tension. The fallen angel was about to respond, but Rama pressed his spear against the angel's throat, silencing him. Rama then asked, "Who might you be?" "I am Azazel, a fallen angel. I'm not like Kokabeel and the others you might be thinking of. I'm here to talk to you, Issei." "Please, let's avoid violence," Azazel replied earnestly. Issei observed the seriousness on Azazel's face and decided it was best not to provoke him. Later, in a restaurant, Issei, Valley, and Azazel were on high alert. They were surrounded by numerous servants who had emerged from their hiding places. Among them were Anastasia, Kam, Tamamo no Mei, Salter, and Jalter. The female servants took their places beside Issei, turning to face the fallen angel and the demon. They were ready to defend their beloved master, sensing the tension in the air. The young man sat quietly, noting the nervousness of Valley and Azazel, who were clearly intimidated by the powerful auras radiating from the servants. Gilgamesh, arms crossed, glared at the 2 supernatural beings with narrowed eyes that glowed red, prepared to protect his allies if necessary. The female servants surrounded Issei, holding on to him protectively, making it clear they did not trust the 2 intruders. Valley thought to himself, "Not gonna lie. The servants are terrifying." Azazel echoed his sentiment internally, feeling a wave of fear wash over him. "Now then, shall we begin to talk?" Issei asked, prompting Azazel to sweat nervously. He nodded and began explaining everything, while the servants listened intently, clearly displeased with the presence of the 2 men. Jalter spoke up, her voice laced with danger. Give us a good reason to know why you dare to challenge my husband? The intensity of her glare made both men uneasy. Azazel quickly clarified, no, it's not a trap. Just a duel challenge. Fine then. What happens if I win? You leave me alone? I want more information about the hero faction and Diodora Astaroth, Issei demanded, catching both Azazel and Valley off guard. He had interrogated a stray devil he had recently defeated, who had confessed much. He's a criminal, a killer. He does whatever he wants, Azazel explained. Then you better tell me everything right away. I need to know what he wants, Issei pressed, his frustration growing. He was determined to deal with the threat Diodora posed, and the servants shared his resolve. Gilgamesh added, Worm, tell us everything we need to know. Where is Astaroth? I can't tell you that because, Azazel began, but he sensed a dangerous aura emanating from Gilgamesh, who was preparing for a confrontation. Jalter interjected, sounds like someone else is about to die. Now then, where is he? Azazel coughed slightly, realizing he had no choice but to reveal the location of the hideout. Issei was ready to lead his servants in the hunt for Diodora Astaroth. That man had gone too far, and it was time to put an end to his reign of terror. To be continued. The next night, 2 exorcists were on the move, their mission to hunt down stray devils. As they walked, they discussed rumors they had heard about fallen angels being slaughtered by powerful human servants. Fear crept into their expressions as they recalled the tales of these servants effortlessly defeating fallen angels. I hope we don't end up like them, one exorcist said. Oh come on, it can't be that bad, the other replied. Don't be so foolish. I heard the rumor about a guy who protects humanity from stray devils and other supernatural creatures all on his own, she said to her companion. Exorcist 2, does he have a name? She asked. Exorcist 1. His name is Issei Hyoudou. He's the Dragon Emperor and humanity's savior. The mention of this name surprised her, bringing back memories of 2 children, a boy and a girl, who had shared many joyful moments together. Exorcist 1, is something wrong, Irina? She inquired. Exorcist 2, I'm fine, Zenobia. There's no need to worry, but... She was interrupted by a loud explosion from above, startling both exorcists. They turned to see a commotion ahead, realizing trouble was brewing. Exorcist 1, what was that? She exclaimed. Exorcist 2, it must be an explosion. Could it be stray devils? She speculated. Exorcist 1, let's find out, she declared, and the 2 of them took off running toward the source of the noise, eager to uncover what was happening. Time skip later. Back to Issei. 14 servants stood ready, weapons drawn, each adopting their own fighting stances. They noticed a group of devil soldiers preparing for battle. One devil, with short black hair and a casual outfit, stood frozen in fear, trying to maintain a tough facade, unaware of the impending confrontation. Diodora, what's the meaning of this? Who are you both? Why are these pathetic humans here? He shouted, but before he could gather himself, someone stepped forward. Issei, looks like I arrived just in time, he said confidently, revealing himself in a dark casual outfit. Diodora's surprise was palpable as he recalled the rumors about Issei, the human who had defeated many stray devils and fallen angels. Realizing his plan was failing, Diodora's anger flared. Diodora, you're just a filthy human, Hyoudou, he spat. Issei, that's right. I won't let you destroy this world or corrupt everything around here. It's time for you to say goodbye. Diodora, you came here to kill me? He asked incredulously. Issei, because you've gone too far. You want to harm Asia. This time, I'm going to put an end to you. Diodora, really? Do you think you can kill me? I'm doing this for my own freedom. Do you even know who I am? He shouted, his frustration boiling over. Issei, you're just a fool, he replied, watching Diodora's anger grow. Diodora, enough of this. I'm going to end you, he yelled, unleashing a blast of power aimed at Issei, but it was intercepted by one of the servants. The servant revealed herself to be Salter, wielding her dark Excalibur sword, ready to defend her master and take on the devil soldiers. Salter, "Master, what are your orders?" she asked, her eyes narrowed at the devils. "Issei, eliminate them all," he commanded, and the servants smirked, preparing to engage the enemy. As two more servants, Vlad III and Xiangyu, joined the fray, the battle escalated. The servants charged forward, ready to take down the devil soldiers. The servants began to dispatch their enemies with ease, turning their attention to the remaining devil soldiers. Shu Ten, in particular, was merciless, using her abilities to incapacitate foes with a swift and fierce efficiency. "Shu Ten, now then. Time for a drink," she said to herself, channeling her power against the enemy and continuing the fight with relentless determination. The adult man, dressed in a refined outfit and holding a cane, revealed himself to be Moriarty. His servant landed firmly on the ground, unleashing powerful blasts from his hands that struck down 5 stray devils, sending them crashing to the ground. Moriarty looked at the fallen foes. "Sorry, did I just arrive in time?" he asked, noting the surprised expressions of the stray devils. The servant was ready to face these foes alone, showcasing his strength as he realized the devils were outmatched. However, he was determined to defeat them all. With a swift motion, the servant used his cane to slash through the stray devils, dismantling them effortlessly. As he tore through each one, more devils rushed in to assist their comrades. Just then, a massive figure burst through the wall of the building, a berserker servant. Spartacus let out a maniacal laugh. "Oppressors will be destroyed by my bare hands," he shouted, charging at the stray devils. He began to crush them underfoot and swung his sword, cutting down enemies with ease. The berserker servant sent fallen angels flying, leaving the devils with no chance against such power. The stray devils attempted to use their abilities to fight back, but their efforts were futile against the might of these servants. Many tried to flee, desperate to escape the onslaught, but as they reached the door, they were met with a sudden attack from behind. "You won't escape this time," a voice called out, and the devils turned to see another servant, a giant wolf-like creature with a headless horseman riding atop. The rider wore ancient attire, adding to the fearsome sight. What is that?" one of the stray devils shouted in terror as the wolf let out a thunderous roar and charged at them, swinging its scythe-like weapon and cutting through the devils effortlessly. The servants continued their relentless assault, leaving no devil standing in their path. Those who attempted to fly away found themselves caught in the wolf's jaws, torn apart in an instant. Meanwhile, Issei and his allies arrived just in time to witness the chaos. They watched as the stray devils were systematically defeated, their ranks decimated by the servants. Moriarty prepared to unleash his noble phantasm, ready to finish off the remaining foes. The devils were overwhelmed, falling victim to the servants' might. Vlad III summoned spikes from the ground, further decimating the enemy forces. He unleashed a barrage of attacks, while Xiangyu slashed through the remaining devils with his 4 swords, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Issei observed Diodora, whose face was a mask of fear as he realized his army and peerage members were being defeated. The devil turned to flee, desperate to escape the massacre, but found his path blocked by another servant Salter. "You aren't going anywhere," she declared, brandishing her weapon. "You can't do this. I won't die at the hands of a human." Diodora shouted, but before he could react, Salter struck him down, sending him crashing to the ground. Issei stood nearby, hands in his pockets, watching the scene unfold. "Finish him, Salter. Prepare to use your noble phantasm," he instructed, a smirk forming on her face as she readied herself for the final blow. The devil had no idea what awaited him. This was the end of his fate. After the blast from Salter, who unleashed a powerful attack against the devil, Diodora was defeated effortlessly, and the hideout exploded in an instant. Issei and his allies turned to witness the chaos, where the remaining devils faced overwhelming defeat at the hands of his servants. Issei's gaze shifted to the hideout, where the devils were being overwhelmed, their fate sealed by the relentless assault. 2 exorcists arrived just in time to witness the destruction wrought by Issei and his companions. They surveyed the scene, taking in the devastation left in the wake of the battle. The devils had been vanquished, including Diodora, who had no idea what was coming for him. The exorcists turned their attention to Issei, who stood over Diodora's fallen form, a look of determination on his face. Exorcist 2, Issei, she stammered, surprised to see him as he began to walk away with his servants. Time skip later. Back at Issei's home, he sat alone in a chair, lost in thought. He reflected on the recent events, the battles fought alongside his allies against the fallen angels. With Diodora and the devils defeated, he felt a sense of urgency to learn more about the remaining threats. As he hummed softly to himself, his mother's voice broke through his thoughts. "Say, there's someone here to see you," she called out, prompting him to leave his room and find out who had arrived. He sensed the presence of Excalibur swords nearby. Irina and Zenobia stood before him. Irina, Issei, she thought to herself. To be continued. Chapter end. Third POV. Back to Issei. Issei remained silent, observing the two exorcists. He recognized Irina, his childhood friend, memories flooding back. From long ago. Irina, aware of their past friendship, had not visited him in quite some time, and Zenobia was there to support her. "Issei, your name is Irina, right?" he asked. "Irina, yes," she replied. "Issei, it's hard to believe. My childhood friend was a boy. How did you become a girl?" he questioned. "Irina, it's a long story that you might not remember," she said, leaving him momentarily speechless. His servants stood protectively beside him, ready to defend their young master from any potential threat posed by the two guests. "Irina, what do you want to say?" she began. Issei, "What? Why do you ask? What am I supposed to say?" "Huh? I want to know. Where have you been?" he demanded. "Irina, I don't know. But I can explain everything," she said, sensing his disappointment. Issei sighed, eager to understand what had transpired. The two began to recount their stories, and Issei listened intently, desperate for answers. "Issei, now I understand everything," he said. "Irina, yes, I know you're upset. Because I haven't been found by you," she admitted. "Issei, I really don't know how you managed all this," he replied. "Irina, I understand. So can you tell me who these people are? Where did they come from?" she asked. "Zenobia, they're not human at all. I can sense their presence nearby. They seem to be guarding something," she informed him. "Issei, them?" he asked, glancing at the group of servants who stood ready, weapons drawn, prepared to defend against any threat from the two exorcists. Then the two of them were confused about the figures standing before them. Issei looked at his companions and began to speak. "Issei, it's a long story that you all need to know." He chuckled, leaving the two of them puzzled. He quickly explained everything, recounting the history of legendary heroes and the powerful servants that accompanied them, which left Irina and Zenobia in awe. "Irina, are you telling me that these people are part of the group of servants known as the History of Heroes from ancient times?" she exclaimed in disbelief. "Zenobia, but how?" she started to say. "Artoria, we are from different universes," she replied, surprising both Irina and Zenobia. They turned to see a female Arthur approaching them. "Irina, different universes?" she asked, astonished. "Zenobia, did you really expect us to believe what you just told us about?" she began, but then noticed Artoria holding Excalibur. The sight of the legendary sword left them both speechless, realizing the truth behind Artoria's words. The next morning, Issei was getting dressed in his usual outfit. He stood for a moment, adjusting the gauntlet on his right arm, which had summoned a dragon. With his hands in his pockets, he waited for Valet to arrive. He glanced over and saw his servants alongside the two exorcists, who were also waiting. "Issei, now then. Where is he?" he muttered to himself. Just then he noticed Valet arriving on time. The white-haired demon landed gracefully, folding his wings behind him. "Valet, did I come late?" he asked. "Issei, no, you made it just in time," Issei replied. "Valet, shall we fight?" he proposed. Issei, "Absolutely," he said, summoning his gauntlet and beginning to transform into his Dragon Emperor Knight form. Issei, Balance Breaker. Once the transformation was complete, Issei stood in his dragon armor, complete with bat wings, looking ready for battle. He stepped out of the smoke, prepared to face Valet. Issei, he hummed, assessing his opponent. Valet, not bad at all. Now it's my turn to change, he said, transforming into his white dragon armor. The two of them stood ready, staring each other down before charging at one another. The battle commenced, fierce and intense, with Issei blocking Valet's attacks while landing several of his own. He prepared to unleash a different form, ready to tap into his berserker power. Issei, time to change, he declared, focusing on Valet. Issei, now this is what I'm talking about, he said to himself, feeling the surge of power. Valet, what? He exclaimed, surprised by Issei's transformation. Issei unleashed a barrage of attacks, overwhelming Valet with his strength. Issei, he roared, swinging his fist and striking Valet, sending him crashing into a wall. Issei continued to unleash powerful attacks, determined to finish the fight. Issei, time to finish this. Hiya, he shouted, preparing his final move. To be continued. Back to Issei. The servants, along with Irina and Zenobia, watched the fierce battle unfold between Issei and Valet. The two dragons fought with incredible intensity, neither willing to back down. The outcome was uncertain, but the spectacle was captivating. The Red Dragon Emperor unleashed a powerful attack that knocked the White Dragon Emperor to the ground, causing him to spit blood. Valet was badly injured, and pieces of his armor began to fall away. Then the Red Dragon Emperor finally defeated his opponent, sending him crashing to the ground, unable to rise. The Dragon Emperor looked at Valet, who was battered and bruised, struggling to catch his breath as he coughed up blood. Valet, impossible, he said in disbelief, glancing at Issei, who was hovering nearby, ready for another round. Issei, so, do you want to fight again? He asked Valet. Valet, cough, I guess I underestimated you, he admitted. Say, good. Does that mean you're surrendering? He inquired. Valet, correct, he replied, slowly rising from the ground. He steadied himself, taking a moment to gather his composure before turning to face Issei. This was the moment he had been defeated by Issei. Now, he wondered what he should do next, knowing that Issei still had other challenges to prepare for, including stray devils and numerous others in this world. Valet decided to leave with Azazel, the two of them heading off to another part of the world, choosing not to fight back against Issei. Issei allowed them to become his allies, sparing their lives this time in hopes of their loyalty. As for the two exorcists who were still ahead, he needed to keep an eye on them, uncertain of their plans, as he sought to uncover the truth. Issei thought to himself, I wonder what the two exorcists are up to. The next morning, Issei was at home, dressed in his casual yet stylish outfit. He stood for a moment, checking his appearance in the mirror and smiling slightly at how good he looked. Issei, Ding, I'm not looking bad at all, he said, adjusting his clothes. Just then, he heard a familiar chuckle and turned to see Salter, Jalter, and Kyoheim, who admired his outfit. Jalter, you look amazing, darling, she said. Salter, yes, you look handsome, our charming husband, she added, giving him a kiss on the cheek. Kyoheim, feeling a twinge of jealousy, wanted to join in as well. But before they could get carried away, the door burst open, revealing Jack eager to go out with her mother. Jack, where are we going, Mommy? She asked. Issei, to the park, Jackie. Do you want to join us? He replied, and she nodded enthusiastically. The four of them set off together. Soon after, Zenobia and Irina approached, wanting to speak with Issei, along with Asia, who had her own secrets to share, thanks to Issei's servant, Kata Danzo. Once at the park, Issei settled down, enjoying some relaxation while Jalter, Salter, Kyoheim, and Jack played together, filled with joy. Zenobia, Issei, we need to talk about, she began. Issei, you want to discuss the innocent nun girl who was at my home, right? He interrupted, surprising both her and Irina. Irina, how did you know? She stammered, but before she could finish, a figure leaped from hiding, landing gracefully on the ground. It was Assassin Shiki. Foma. The two servants stood by, watching the exorcists as they spoke, trying to understand their intentions. Issei, feeling a growl of frustration, addressed them directly. Issei, so tell me the truth. Is it true that you want to harm Asia for being a heretic? He demanded, and the two exorcists fell silent, unsure of how to respond. Issei, just tell me everything, he urged. Irina, okay, it's true. Because the order comes from God, she confessed. Issei, I guess I'll have to fight you too, he said, preparing for the confrontation. Irina realized she had no choice but to defend herself, while Zenobia drew her sword, ready to engage. Zenobia, it was an order, she stated firmly. Issei, sigh, I suppose I'll have to knock some sense into you, woman, he replied, resigned to teach them a lesson. Okita altar. Just then, another servant arrived on the scene, drawing her katana and preparing to face the exorcists. Both sides readied their weapons, tension rising as they prepared for battle. Then Salter landed on her feet beside Okita altar, and the two of them stood ready, weapons drawn. Issei said, Okita and Salter, remember, just incapacitate them for a moment and they will accept their defeat. The two nodded and smiled in agreement. Well, this isn't going well. To be continued. Next morning later, Issei found himself at the mall, sitting alone for a while. He thought about his girlfriend Asia and Artoria, who were out enjoying their time together. He noticed a young man walking ahead, accompanied by his two girlfriends, who wanted to spend time with him. Issei sighed, Asia is safe now. He turned his head to watch the young nun, who was happily playing bowling with Artoria. Sitting on the couch, he observed the two girls, their joy evident. After dealing with Kokobile and the other fallen angels, he felt a sense of relief. I'm pretty much getting tired right now. I've been through a lot, he thought to himself, glancing around at the peaceful surroundings. There seemed to be nothing left for him to do. He reflected on Irina and Zenobia, the two exorcists who had faced off against the powerful servants but had been unable to defeat them. Well, I hope they learn their lesson, he mused, chuckling at the thought of their humiliation after being bested by the two formidable servants. In flashback, Issei stood alone, watching four figures before him, weapons drawn and ready for battle. Suddenly, Jack dashed toward her master and jumped up, clinging to Issei's left arm. He was taken by surprise but smiled and patted her head. Mom, can we stay here longer? I want to see the river, she asked. Let's get going then, he replied, lifting her up and heading to the park, eager to explore the world together. Meanwhile, the four opponents faced each other, weapons at the ready, unaware of the true strength of the two powerful servants. The exorcists had no idea what was coming, having already faced defeat at the hands of these formidable foes. Then there was Okita altar, who drew her katana and assumed a fighting stance, her gaze fixed on Zenobia, who stood ready for battle. The servant locked eyes with the exorcist, both prepared to engage. With a shared determination, they charged at each other. Zenobia thought, time to get serious, as she sprinted toward the servant. She skillfully blocked every attack that came her way, but Okita altar proved to be incredibly strong, countering each of Zenovia's strikes with precision. She's strong. Really strong, Zenobia thought, realizing the formidable nature of her opponent. The young exorcist knew she had to be prepared for whatever the servant could unleash. Time to get serious, Okita altar declared, charging at Zenobia, catching her off guard. The servant slashed her sword, and Zenobia felt the impact of multiple strikes, each one pushing her to her limits. Despite her best efforts to defend herself, Okita altar's relentless assault overwhelmed her, and with a powerful blow, she sent Zenobia crashing to the ground. The exorcist coughed, a grimace on her face as she looked up to see the servant pointing her sword threateningly at her neck. Wow! Zenobia muttered in surprise. Lower your weapon now, Okita altar commanded. Okay. Zenobia replied, dropping her weapon and accepting her defeat. Meanwhile, Irina, filled with fear, turned to face Salter, who stood confidently with her Excalibur sword, ready to engage. The young exorcist gulped, sensing that things were not going to end well. Salter attacked with relentless force, and Irina struggled to land a hit, only to find her every attempt blocked. The servant smirked, a glint of mischief in her golden eyes, which only heightened Irina's anxiety. As Salter launched another attack, Irina was sent sprawling to the ground, coughing from the impact. What's wrong with her? She's fighting like a mad dog, Irina thought, panic rising within her. Just as she tried to get back up, a swift kick to her chest knocked her down again. Looking up, she saw Salter aiming her sword at her throat, and the sight of those fierce golden eyes filled her with dread. Yield or die? Salter asked coolly. I yield. Irina stammered, realizing she had no choice. As for Issei, he stood nearby, observing the scene. He looked down at the two exorcists, who were both kneeling and clearly beaten. He felt a sense of understanding towards them, recognizing that they had learned their lesson about not underestimating him or his servants. All right, I can see you two have proven your loyalty, he said to them. End of flashback. Issei thought, I'm glad they finally changed. He sat quietly for a moment, reflecting on how the two young exorcists had learned their lesson. He smiled, knowing they wouldn't dare to challenge Asia again. Just then, Artoria called out to him. Issei, can you buy this one please? She asked. Sure, Artoria, he replied, getting up from his chair. He headed out to buy ice cream for Artoria and Asia. The three of them enjoyed a fun day at the mall, culminating in a trip to the cinema to watch an action-packed horror movie together. Issei embraced his new life in this world, realizing that no one would stop him from pursuing his goals. Out of nowhere, 5 figures appeared on the rooftop of a nearby building. They resembled humans but possessed powers reminiscent of legendary heroes, observing Issei and the 2 girls he was with, as if they were on their own date. So that's the Red Dragon Emperor and humanity's savior, one of them thought. To be continued. The next afternoon. Alright, remember. Just make sure you are doing your own work. And don't fail like the other students, the teacher instructed. The students nodded in agreement, while Issei felt accomplished after completing a lot of projects and homework. Thanks to Sherlock Holmes and other servants who assisted him, he was becoming smarter. This is going to be easy, he thought, taking his leave. He decided to take a long walk home, hand in hand with Asia. Asia, how are you doing with your homework? He asked. It's fine. It isn't as hard as the other assignments the teachers have given us, she replied. I'm glad to hear that, he said, making her chuckle. The two of them headed to the park to enjoy some time together. As they walked, Issei sensed a presence trailing them. Master, there's someone following you and Asia. They aren't human but something similar, Amiya warned. I can see that. I'll summon you both soon. But first, let's find out who's following us, Issei thought. He continued walking with Asia, trying to enjoy their time, but he could feel the strange figures lurking in the shadows, watching them. As they approached home, Issei felt a new presence nearby. He instinctively pulled Asia behind him, causing her to look at him in confusion. Suddenly, a figure stepped forward, a man dressed in ordinary clothes. You sensed us, didn't you? He asked. Who are you? Issei demanded. I am Cao Cao, he replied, explaining himself as Issei listened intently. The other servants growled in response, and Issei recognized the presence of Lu Bu, who had a history with Cao Cao. Turning to Asia, they noticed more figures emerging from the shadows, historical figures who were not what they seemed. He has allies, Issei thought. Master, shall we take action now? Artoria asked. Do it, he thought, focusing on Cao Cao, who wore a confident smile. Is this why you're here? To kill me? Issei questioned, and Cao Cao nodded, confirming his intentions. Issei was always prepared and summoned his servants. Yanling, Li Shuwen, Bubu, hundreds of Hassans. They arrived just in time, ready to confront the false heroes. Jalter spotted Jean and smirked, eager to engage in battle. Elalu Bibu? Cao Cao stammered in surprise. Cao Cao! Lu Bu shouted in anger. Seems like you two know each other well. Now I'll let you fight with my servants, Issei said. Just then, one of the fake heroes lunged at him, only to be swiftly taken down. The remaining false heroes assumed their fighting stances, preparing to clash with the true heroes. Issei took Asia to safety, urging her to stay close. Asia, please stay behind me, all right? He instructed, and she nodded, ready to follow his lead. Time skip later. Back to the servants. The servants continued their fierce battle against the false heroes, each clash echoing in the air. Jalter focused on Jean, intent on targeting the holy maiden. Then Jalter took out her flag and sword, preparing to face Jean on her own. The dark holy maiden smirked at Jean, eager to humiliate her. Jalter, now then. Show me what you've really got, she shouted, a mischievous smile on her face. In response, Jean summoned her dragons. Jalter, I'm going to take you down, she declared, leaving Jean unaware of the challenge ahead. Jalter unleashed her power, launching blasts at Jean, who was unlike any other Jean. This one was ready to summon more dragons. Jalter had faced similar situations before, and she was determined to defeat the holy maiden with ease. Jean, take this, she shouted, preparing to unleash her attack on Jalter. However, the dark holy maiden seemed unfazed. Jalter, is that all you've got? She taunted, releasing flames that engulfed Jean and sent her crashing to the ground. Slowly, Jean rose, looking as if she had been badly injured by Jalter's onslaught. The dark holy maiden was ready to continue her relentless assault, but Jean had reached her limit. She quickly summoned 2 dragons to her side. The dragons stood ready, glaring at Jalter, poised to attack. But Jalter used her dark power to control the 2 dragons. Jean, kill her, she commanded. Jalter, no. Attack her, she countered, surprising Jean as the 2 dragons turned on their master, launching an assault against her. Meanwhile, Siegfried, Veitch, was engaged in a fierce battle with Issei's servant, their swords clashing in a flurry of strikes. Suddenly, Brynhild appeared out of nowhere, stabbing the false hero Siegfried and slashing at him with her weapon. Other servants joined the fray, fiercely battling the false hero, slashing and striking with everything they had. Cao Cao found himself in a struggle against a servant who was determined to overpower him. Cao Cao, why won't you back down, Lu Bu? He shouted, frustration evident in his voice as the berserker relentlessly attacked, refusing to relent. Li Shuwen joined Lu Bu, and together they unleashed their martial arts skills against their opponent, determined to bring him down. Cao Cao was struck hard by Lu Bu, sending him crashing to the ground. Dazed, he shook his head and attempted to rise. As he looked up, he noticed another figure approaching Red Hair. Who are you? Cao Cao asked, bewildered. I am Red Hair, the servant replied. I still have unfinished business with you. With that, he unleashed a powerful noble phantasm toward Cao Cao, who had no idea what was coming. Cao Cao screamed in agony, feeling as though he were engulfed in flames from the force of the noble phantasm. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei stood alongside Asia, both watching the chaotic battle between the servants and the other false heroes. Explosions echoed around them, and Asia felt a twinge of fear. She needed to understand what was happening, but they remained rooted in place, waiting for the next event to unfold. No matter who you are now, our future is gone. Monsters we created are all around. We'll fight like the devil. It's been a while since everything changed. The world they once knew has vanished. This isn't a story or a game. There's no air to breathe, no safe place to hide. It's too late to run away. No matter who you are now, our future is gone. Monsters we created are all around. We have to survive now. Sunshine is gone, and what's left of the world lies beneath the ground. Yet through the cold and fear, dawn will come. We'll fight like the devil, holding our lives in our hands. We won't give up, we will keep moving forward. We are the last humans standing amidst chaos. Issei muttered to himself, oh no, as he witnessed Cao Cao being launched into the air, crashing down with a thud that created a crater. He had just been overwhelmed by the servant. Slowly, Cao Cao tried to rise, spitting blood from his mouth. He glanced at Issei, Asia, Amiya, Assassin, Billy the Kid, and other female servants who stood protectively nearby. I guess you've met Lu Bu and the other servants, huh? Issei teased. How did you manage to do all this? Cao Cao demanded. What do you mean? Issei replied, feigning innocence. How are you and the servants so strong? Cao Cao shouted, frustration evident in his voice. Issei remained calm, choosing not to respond immediately. I don't know. You all seem weak against the servants. I've told you before, they are powerful and unlike anyone from your world because they come from different universes. Cao Cao growled in anger, ready to charge at Issei. You don't understand what we are doing. I understand perfectly, Issei countered. You are fighting against humanity, devils, and everything around you, claiming to be heroes. But what about the innocent lives at stake? His words left Cao Cao momentarily speechless. Frustrated, Cao Cao charged at Issei, but Billy and Amiya, assassin, quickly drew their weapons, firing at him. The other servants continued to overpower Cao Cao, who struggled to defend himself against their relentless assault. He was soon knocked down again, unable to withstand their combined strength. No matter who you are now, our future is gone. Monsters we created are all around. We have to survive now. Sunshine is gone, and what's left of the world lies beneath the ground. But through the cold and fear, dawn will come. We'll fight like the devil. Cao Cao shouted, You will pay for this. I will make you regret it. But before he could finish, Kama struck him from behind, sending him crashing to the ground. She unleashed her own powerful noble phantasm, ready to finish the fight. Bibi quickly dispatched Cao Cao, and Issei, along with the servants, joined in, overwhelming him effortlessly. Now, Cao Cao lay defeated on the ground, his form reduced to nothingness. The servants showcased their incredible power, effortlessly taking down numerous foes in a display of dominance. Asia hesitated, trying to speak. Is he? She began. Kyoheim replied, Dead? Jean observed, He couldn't dodge in time. Bibi smirked. Looks like I'm dealing with this foolish fake hero down there. Issei nodded. Yep. I guess you really are the true moon cancer. He made her giggle, and in a playful moment, she pulled him in for a quick kiss. You owe me a date, Bibi teased. All right, Issei replied, deep in thought. I need to find out who was behind this. Why was he here? I need answers. He resolved to speak with Rias about the mysterious forces at play. The next morning in Rias's office, she sat in her chair, sipping tea and gazing out the window. She could hear the chaos outside as Issei and the alliance of servants took down Diodora Astaroth and his forces with ease. This is it. I can't afford to provoke Issei after his warning, Rias thought to herself. Just then, a knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Who is it? She called out. The door opened to reveal Issei, dressed in black, accompanied by Asia, Zenobia, Irina, and the servants. Issei arrived just in time, and Rias felt a chill run down her spine at the sight of him and his powerful allies. They were a force to be reckoned with, ready to protect their own and exact consequences on anyone who dared to threaten them. Rias gulped, realizing the gravity of the situation. Issei? She exclaimed in surprise. Let's talk, Rias, he said firmly. To be continued. In the underworld, Rias, Sona, and their peerage were engaged in a fierce battle against a horde of giant wolves. The real threat loomed above them. Loki, the Norse god, stood on a mountain peak, intent on wreaking havoc. You devils stand no chance against me, he taunted. Dimin. There are too many of them. Rias shouted, urging her team to act quickly before they were overwhelmed. Suddenly, one of the giant wolves was thrown to the ground, shocking everyone. What the? They exclaimed, turning to see a colossal figure approaching. It was Tiamat, the mother of all, towering at 200 feet, with long horns and pale blue hair, radiating power. Tiamat let out a deafening shriek that sent chills through the wolves, Loki, Rias, Sona, and their allies. What in the world is that? Rias and Sona gasped in disbelief. Saji exclaimed, This is unbelievable. Loki, taken aback by the sight of Tiamat, shook his head in disbelief. He quickly rallied the wolves, pointing at the goddess. Kill it! Kill this creature! The giant wolves charged, snarling and roaring, but Tiamat moved forward with ease, crushing them effortlessly as if they were mere insects. The wolves' attempts to bite or claw at her were futile. She obliterated them without breaking a sweat. Loki was in shock, thinking, this is impossible. She's destroying my pack with ease. Who sent this creature? Just then, a flying pirate ship appeared, unleashing a barrage of cannon fire upon the giant wolves, obliterating them in a spectacular display of power. The others who had been taken were surprised by what they saw, turning their heads to look in that direction. They spotted someone standing on the ship, hands tucked into the pockets of a black trench coat. Sona stammered, That's Issei. Rias exclaimed in surprise. There he was, standing on the roof of the airship, alongside a figure dressed as a pirate captain. The figure turned out to be a woman with long pink hair, clad in an old-fashioned pirate outfit. Francis Drake. Francis Drake stood beside her beloved, her arm casually draped around Issei's shoulder as they both gazed down at their enemies below, ready to confront them. Issei sensed that this was going to be the end for their foes. He looked at Drake and shared a brief, affectionate kiss that made her smile. "Drake, it's your turn to use the noble phantasm," he said to her. "No problem, master. Time to finish this," she replied, preparing to unleash the noble phantasm on the monstrous foes below, ready to obliterate them without hesitation. The blast hit Cao Cao with tremendous force, sending him crashing to the ground. He struggled to rise, shaking off the impact of Kama's powerful noble phantasm. Despite the injuries he sustained, he tried to refocus on the battle, determined not to let the damage deter him. Gunshots rang out, and slashes aimed to take him down, yet he stood there, seemingly unfazed. Issei, growing increasingly frustrated, turned to BB. "I'm done with this. Could you please take care of him?" he asked, a hint of urgency in his voice. BB smirked and nodded in response. "Of course, senpai." She activated her noble phantasm, targeting Cao Cao, who had no idea what was about to unfold. Meanwhile, Francis Drake's airship unleashed a barrage of explosives, raining down missiles on the wolves below, obliterating them effortlessly. Issei watched with satisfaction as Loki's army was decimated by Francis's overwhelming power. Loki, seething with rage at the sight of his forces being wiped out, growled, "You insufferable fool." Issei replied, "You want a fight? I'm more than ready." He leaped from the airship, joined by his fellow servants, landing gracefully on the ground. With a swift transformation, he donned his red dragon armor. "Shall we begin?" he challenged Loki, who glared back, anger simmering beneath the surface. In response, Loki summoned giant serpents to aid him in battle. Issei and his allies engaged the serpents, swiftly dispatching them with their combined strength. Medusa, commanding her own serpents, directed them toward Loki. Despite his attempts to control the situation, he found himself outmatched by her speed and agility as she evaded his attacks with ease. "Hey! Focus on me!" Issei shouted, drawing Loki's attention. Seizing the opportunity, he delivered a powerful punch, knocking Loki to the ground. The Red Dragon Emperor unleashed a devastating blast, hitting Loki with tremendous force. "Now it's my turn," Medusa declared, preparing to use her noble phantasm against their foe. Issei noticed Thor's hammer nearby and flew toward it, grabbing the weapon just as Fenrir lunged at him. With a swift motion, he struck the massive wolf, causing a tremendous explosion. The Red Dragon Emperor fought fiercely, determined to eliminate Fenrir once and for all. After a fierce struggle, he finally brought the beast down, turning to see other gods and Surzeks descending to the battlefield. "Great. Not again," he muttered to himself. "Issei, you've done it," Surzek said, acknowledging his efforts. "Did I save the underworld and humanity?" Issei asked, contemplating the weight of his actions. To be continued. In the epilogue, after Issei's victory over the enemies threatening the underworld, he returned to a semblance of normalcy, having safeguarded humanity from the dangers posed by rogue devils. The world was finally at peace, free from stray devils and fallen angels, who remained confined to the underworld. Issei's resolve was unwavering. He was determined to create a better world for mankind. The government, aware of the supernatural threats, began to prepare for any potential conflicts. In his personal life, Issei found happiness with his beautiful wives, who stood by him as devoted partners. He promised to cherish and spend time with them, nurturing their bond. The end. There was a great war raging across the earth, with countless devils and other monsters being confronted by the united human army, armed with weapons, military vehicles, and overwhelming firepower. In the midst of this chaos stood a large, solitary building, seemingly untouched by the destruction around it. Within this building, 3 figures observed the battlefield. A warning to the people, the good and the evil. This is war. To the soldier, the civilian, the martyr, the victim. This is war. It's the moment of truth and the moment to deceive. The moment to live and the moment to perish. The moment to fight, the moment to fight. To fight, to fight, to fight. One of the figures was Surzex, flanked by 2 other devils. They watched as the army of devils and monsters was being overwhelmed by the human forces. They believed humanity was on the verge of safety, but they underestimated Issei, who was determined to turn the tide. Issei prepared to unleash his berserker and juggernaut forms. Issei shouted, "It's time for you all to pay." His voice was filled with determination as he narrowed his eyes at the approaching monsters, ready to transform into his juggernaut dragon form. As the transformation completed, Issei grew into a towering figure, resembling a dragon at an impressive height. The red dragon rose from the ground, surveying the battlefield, feeling the power coursing through him as he became something greater. To the right, to the left. We will fight to the death. To the edge of the earth. It's a brave new world. From the last to the first. To the right, to the left. We will fight to the death. To the edge of the earth. It's a brave new world. It's a brave new world. A warning to the prophet, the liar, the honest. This is war. To the leader, the pariah. The victor, the Messiah. This is war. Issei let out a fierce growl, fully embracing his juggernaut form. He stood tall, releasing a thunderous roar that echoed across the battlefield, startling the other devils as they witnessed the transformation. With renewed vigor, Issei and his allies began to push back against their foes, swiftly taking down the enemies in their path. The human military joined forces with Issei and his companions, determined to eliminate any threats that stood before them. Surzex remarked, "This is it. This is where we might meet our end." Devil 1 declared, "We'll fight for you and avenge." Seraphal. Devil 2 added, "Yes, we will fight back." Devil 3 warned, "This is where we might fall to the humans and their allies." The atmosphere was tense, and they all understood the gravity of their situation. Suddenly, a deafening roar pierced the air, announcing the arrival of Tiamat, who unleashed her fury upon the fallen angels and devils, scattering them effortlessly. It's the moment of truth, and the moment to deceive. The moment to live and the moment to perish. The moment to fight, the moment to fight. To fight, to fight, to fight. To the right, to the left. We will fight to the death. To the edge of the earth. It's a brave new world. From the last to the first. To the right, to the left. We will fight to the death. To the edge of the earth. It's a brave new world. It's a brave new world. It's a brave new world. Surzex gasped in disbelief at the sight of Tiamat, astonished by her immense size and power. He realized that she was about to unleash a devastating attack, and the impending confrontation would change everything. Then she released a powerful blast aimed at the devils and Surzex, who stood there, accepting their fate. "I believe in the light. Raise your hands into the sky. The fight is done. The war is won. Lift your hands toward the sun. It's the moment of truth and the moment to lie. It's the moment to fight." The battlefield was engulfed in chaos, with flames consuming everything around them. Issei and the other servants swiftly defeated the remaining monsters. In a fit of rage, Issei transformed into his juggernaut form, standing still for a moment as he struggled to regain his composure. The red dragon within him surged with power, and he focused on calming the beast inside. Finally, Issei managed to regain his calm, feeling exhausted from the ordeal. He transformed back into his human form, about to kneel when his fellow servants caught him in their arms, helping him to his feet. As they moved toward Surzex, who bore numerous injuries, it was clear he had been thoroughly defeated. The Lucifer Lord looked at Issei and the servants, their gazes locked in a tense standoff. Issei spoke, So, this is where you meet your end? Rias, Sona, and the others are gone, and now it's your turn. Any last words? Surzex replied, just kill me. Fine then. Salter? Could you do me a favor? Issei asked, and she nodded in agreement. To be continued. Back to Issei. Issei found himself in a park, sitting on a bench, gazing at the beautiful view of the ocean and the trees around him. He felt weary from everything he had endured. With all the devils and fallen angels defeated, they would not dare return to this place. He tried to live a normal life until, unexpectedly, someone approached him, the false hero, Hercules. You're the one who killed all my fallen brothers and sisters? Hercules accused. Issei sighed. If you want to fight me here and ruin my perfect day, you're just being foolish. Besides, I have another opponent who would be happy to meet you. Suddenly, a servant appeared, another Hercules. The servant roared, startling the false hero, who realized he was in over his head. At that moment, he understood he had made a grave mistake. The end.